Welcome one, welcome all. Shank Club NFL, just after 2:30 UK time, 9:30 Eastern, and work it out wherever you are, because I don't know West Coast, East Coast, etc. My name is Nick Cork, your humble host. We are going to be talking football movies, non-football movies, favourite all-time 3 NFL players, hardest position to play. Got the usual crew returning. So let's get this shit started, Carl. Hit it. Welcome. We are the Shank Club NFL. There you go, starting off the right way. We got a good show lined up, got guests coming on, so it's going to be good. We're going to be talking the Carson Wentz trade, welcoming back some old friends onto the show. So without further ado, I will bring on my able button monkey, as I like to call him. Wearing his work headset, looking like he's should be answering the phones right now as opposed to being on the Shank Club show. Carl, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. My JBL headphones have died, so now I'm having to use this old works headset for the time being until I get my new set. Yeah, it's been a good week. Keeping on tabs with what's been going on in the NFL, even though it's not a lot. There have been one or two bits of breaking news, which we'll get to in due course. But apart from that, it's been pretty solid.
Awesome. Yeah, we got some news to talk about, definitely, before we get to the serious stuff of football movies and positions and all stuff like that. Got to give a couple of shout outs before we bring in the other people. One of the people we had on our show 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, Brad Ward, is having surgery this morning over in the States. So I know he said he was going to watch the replay because I'm going to give him a shout out. So Brad, hope everything goes well for you, buddy, and we hope to get you on again very, very soon. Also, Idris Designs did a competition on Twitter to win a T-shirt of your choice. And like most competitions, I followed, retweeted, etc. And lo and behold, I won a 49ers T-shirt. So I'm really pleased with that. Good quality, got the badge there as well. So I said I'd give her a shout out as well. I think Ash Sugden as well won. Another UK 49ers fan won as well. So I don't think she thought she was going to have to spend like $50 to send 2 T-shirts out to the UK, but I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles. So thank you for the T-shirt. It is absolutely fantastic. Right, let's bring on another guest. There he is, looking more like Chewbacca every day with that hairstyle and that beard. How you doing, Harrison?
Yeah, not too bad. Funny you say Chewbacca, because my Secret Santa gift was a mug of a picture of me next to Chewbacca. So I must be.
And I did I know that? No, I didn't. So there's obviously some likeness there that someone thinks.
No, I'm good, guys. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Obviously, Carl's got his Super Bowl champions 1956 T-shirt on by the look of it. Last time the Patriots were relevant, so he's happy. We are going to talk Colts, obviously, Harrison. That's why we got you on with the trade and everything. And obviously, we haven't really spoken to you about the retirement of Philip Rivers and how you thought he did. So we will get into that. Last but not least, for the moment, we are waiting for our usual suspects who always turn up late. Mr. Rogers, not so smug. We've got John coming on, and we've also got Deion coming on, and UK Draft will be coming on as well. I think Scott's still licking his wounds, but you never know. We'll get round to that when he gets on. So the last guest for the moment, making a welcome return to the show. Sam, how are you? Oh.
Hello, how's everybody?
Good, thanks.
There you go.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah,
I have a little connection,
good. People that have never seen you on the...
so hopefully I'll be able to stay with you guys.
Let's hope so. For people that haven't seen you on our show before, do you want to tell them your connection to the NFL and what team you support, etc.? Because obviously new guests joining may not know who you are. So please introduce yourself and who your son is.
Okay. I am Sam Highsmith. My son just finished his rookie season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Alex, number 56, outside linebacker. Started the season as a special teamer and back up to TJ Watt and Bud Dupree. And when Bud Dupree unfortunately went out with the ACL injury, Alex stepped in and started the last 5 regular season games and the playoff game. And actually played pretty well for not having a rookie mini camp and OTs and all those things that normally you get for your first season. I'm very proud of the big. He's actually home here in Wilmington, North Carolina, part of this week. He's headed to Charlotte, North Carolina to get his training, doing some workouts with an ex sports trainer for the Panthers, opened a training facility there. So in Charlotte's where he went to college. So it's kind of great that he gets to be around some of his old friends and work out not too far from us. So that's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Do you get to see him a lot in the off season, even when he was at college, or is it one of those things that you kind of don't get to see him that much? I think has Sam frozen again, Carl? Has he frozen your end?
Yeah, Sam looks like.
I'm back now. When during college, Charlotte's only a 3.5 hour drive from us here. We're on the coast of North Carolina, and Charlotte's like in the Piedmont area. So we would see him a few times during the season, and I mean during the like spring, and he'd try to get home during the summer. Fortunately, we've seen him I think 3 times since the season's been over. He's been home. And I don't know if some folks follow me on Twitter. I retweeted a post. He gave his mom a new Toyota Highlander. So he was home for that first week of February. It was really cool, and she cried, and it was a fun experience. Made him feel good, and I got so many comments on Facebook and on Twitter about how they cried when just watching my wife's reaction to it. And he came back home again this week for a few days before he headed to Charlotte. And we think we're going to be able to see him. Now that he's at least in Charlotte, probably through the first of the summer. We'll see him pretty regularly. I'll go up there when I can, and he'll get to come home. So it's cool.
So Mum got a new automobile. What did Dad get?
Well, actually, he's found a new love of golf. So, and I haven't played in about 30 years. I was so bad when I played. I said, I'm not going to do this until I can retire. Ironically, this is kind of working out with, and him starting to want to play golf. So he got me a golf bag and a putter, and I have a nephew who plays a lot, so he gave me a set of used clubs. So kind of getting back into that with him. So that's going to be our new love together. I mean, he was outside hitting some foam balls against the side of the house, and it was nasty. The weather was nasty, but he's that's it. And I told him on only thing I want is a pair of Air Jordans. I don't want to. I'm good on the car thing. So let him use his money for him and his girlfriend and save the rest of it. Give me a pair of Jordans. That'll be enough.
So you're waiting for the truck to back up with about 30 pairs for you then. Right. So, Carl, shall we talk about the trade that went down, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday? Do you want to break down what happened and who traded who and what the picks were, etc.?
Okay, so Carson Wentz finally is getting his ass out of Philadelphia. He's been traded to the Indianapolis Colts for what I can gather is this year's 3rd round pick and a 2022 2nd round pick that may go to a first on one of two things. Either he has 75% of the snaps throughout the entire regular season, or the Colts make the playoffs. Now, since the Colts made the playoffs with Phillip Rivers last year, they expect, I think they will end up in the playoffs. I've actually got the Colts now winning the division for next season. That's just a very, very early prediction of mine. The Philadelphia Eagles, they got rid of him, but they have taken the biggest cap hit in NFL history, $33.8 million. They're already over the cap as it already is. That is going to sting them for the next couple of years. What I don't get for Harry Roseman deserves a lot of the blame for this, the GM of the Eagles, because he signed Wentz after only having 2 years, signed to a bloated 4-year extension of $128 million 2 years into his rookie season. He still had 2 years left on his rookie contract. He ended up signing him early to beat the market, and unfortunately, this has backfired on him massively. Carson Wentz has regressed quite significantly since his rookie year in 2017. For me personally, I think there was only one of two places that Wentz could end up going, where not only is it going to give him a different change of scenery, but it's also going to help him better in his mentality and in his confidence, because we saw the last year he was just completely shot to pieces mentally and with his confidence. And the two teams that I think had any chance of him revitalizing his career, one was Indianapolis Colts with Frank Reich, because Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles in 2017, and the other one was Bill Belichick. He knows how to get the best out of his players. I think personally Wentz has gone to the right place to revitalize his career. That means they're using Jalen Hurts. He looks prominently be the starter for next year, although he only completed 52% of his passes in the 4 games that he played, and he had a touchdown to interception ratio of 5-3. So if you do that over a long haul, you could say that's 50 touchdowns, but also 30 interceptions. It doesn't sound great. They do have the 6th overall pick, so there is a good chance now they could end up maybe going for Justin Fields or Zach Wilson or even Trey Lance. But I think the biggest winner out of all of this, I think there are 2 receivers on the Colts, Paris Campbell and Brett Pittman Jr. Pittman Jr. was the last 9 games, he was coming on really strong. I think it was something like 494 yards receiving for the last 9 games. So he was improving with Phillip Rivers under center. I think the only way Carson Wentz can now go is up. I mean, if he sucks like he done in Philadelphia, then there's going to be some problems. The only thing is, though, the Colts, they won't lose anything from this because they can cut him and they won't cost him a penny. Hello, John.
What's up, Carl? What's up, guys? Sam, good to see you, brother. Harrison, what's happening?
Yeah,
my man.
All
Nick, how
day,
you
every
doing, brother?
day. All
Good
day,
to see you, man.
every day. Good to see you, John. Glad you could join us. I know Dee's going to be in shortly. Hopefully, Mr. Smug will turn up, or Mr. Not So Smug, as he's now known. We are, obviously, I don't know if you heard, we're just about to get Harrison's view on the Wentz trade. because obviously he's a Colts fan. So I'm interested to hear what he said. Then we'll get Sam, and then we'll get you on and see what you think of it. So Harrison, the floor is yours.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend Carson Wentz was my first pick for QBs coming into the off-season. I mean, I was hoping Philip Rivers signed for another year. I think he had more left in the tank. He would have been a better season because he's gelled with the team. So I think it came as a surprise when he turned around and said he's retiring. Don't blame him. He's 39 or whatever, got about 50 kids. Justin Herbert being one of them. But Carson Wentz, I mean, let's look at his terrible time in Philadelphia. 50 sacks. That's not going to happen at Indianapolis with Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, that famous O-line at the minute. Interceptions. Okay, well, name a notable Philadelphia receiver last season. I can't.
I'll say I'll go with one. I'll take a Whiteside and Fulgham, Travis Fulgham, I think his name is.
Yeah, if the Colts manage to re-sign T.Y. Hilton, you look at the receiving core of that Colts team in Hilton, Pittman, Zach Pascal, Paris Campbell if he stays fit, and then a running back of Jonathan Taylor. He has all the tools to succeed in Indianapolis.
Don't forget the tight ends as well. Jack Doyle, Mo Alley Cox.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Frank Reich, look at what Frank Reich did with Philip Rivers. When we were getting Philip Rivers, everyone laughed. Everyone said, why? He's washed up. He can only throw interceptions, can't throw it 5 yards. We got to the playoffs and we should have beat the Bills. We coached ourselves out of the game. So is it a risky move, what we don't normally see from Indy? Yes. But is it a smart move? I think so. I think he can rediscover some form with the help of this Indy team.
It's an interesting point you make, Harrison, actually. When Rivers went to the Colts, everybody said, well, say everybody, the opinion was they were crazy to take him. But behind that O-line last season, apart from obviously the struggles against the Bills, and as you said, that probably was more down to coaching, not execution. I thought we were watching Philip Rivers from when he first got drafted. I was pretty amazed how good he had been, and then obviously regressed behind shitty O-lines, and then came behind you. So it is an interesting point. Wentz, I'm just glad he didn't go at the Niners. I'm so happy he didn't go there. So it's gonna be interesting. Sam, what are your thoughts on him going to the Colts? I think Sam's got internet issues again. Sam, are you still with us, or have you I can't see if you've frozen or not.
I'm here. Was that question for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just your view on Wentz and going there.
About Carson Wentz going to the Colts. It's freezing again. Yeah, I'm back now.
I'll try and take you out and bring you. Oh, you're back, right? Okay.
The move I thought would happen. I mean, what I've heard about Carson is a great goal. I hope that. Oop, am I back? Can you guys hear me now? Okay. Yeah. I kind of thought that move that was going to work best for Carson, and for him, he seems like a great young man. I'm happy for him being back with right. I'm kind of like everyone else about Jalen Hurts. I liked him as a young man as well. Didn't see enough this year to know if that's going to be the right move for Philadelphia, but I wish him the best. I have a cousin who's a big Eagles fan. I have several Eagles fans here in town, so I like to give them a hard time. But I wish them the best, and kind of neutral about the Colts. I've always respected the team. Loved when Tony Dungy was there. So I do wish them the best.
Definitely. John, what's your thoughts on this trade? Are you glad that the Niners dodged another bullet?
Yeah, I mean, Nick, I don't think we were really ever going to entertain that idea anyway, to be honest with you. I think, frankly, I think the Niners are too fucked up right now, man. They got their priorities all jacked, dude. I mean, they're worried about maybe they're not. Maybe it's just, Twitter and speculation mixed, but I mean, I think they're worried. My fear is that they're going to let left tackle Trent Williams slip out the back door with some kind of a bigger deal because their priorities are distracted. They're worried about quarterbacks and then they have no cornerbacks. So anyway, Carson Wentz had a good deal. He had a good thing going in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia kind of reminds me now of like the Texans. They just won a Super Bowl not too long ago. They kicked their coach out. They've lost their quarterback. And that dude just signed like a pretty big deal back in maybe like a year and a half. Yeah, like, okay, so 2018, the guy signed a massive contract, like almost $130 million, right?
Yeah, 128.
Those guys,
2 years on his rookie deal, we still had left.
They're taking a big hit, close to $30-some million, right?
Yep, biggest in the NFL history.
I mean, what the hell, dude? I look, I get it. You got to make moves to get out from these upside down situations. If you don't move on from them, you're going to be plagued with them. So I don't know, man. He's 28 years old, 27 years old. I feel like he's got something left in the tank. Not my preference, but that doesn't go to say that the coordinators over there, the quarterback coaches over there can't recover. I mean, if you've got a toxic situation going on somewhere, everything's going to go to hell. So why not try to recover in a new organization? They've got a healthy program. So, hey, I don't think it's a bad fit. It's not our fit, but I'm not going to say they screwed up. Hell, why not? They need a quarterback. They also need, if I'm not mistaken, they got to get a tackle, right? They need a tackle.
Yeah.
Somebody retired over there this year, right? So, lock up the tackle position in free agency. Not my tackle, preferably, but lock up a tackle, and you got something going on. So, I don't know, man. I don't think it's a bad fit.
There's definitely going to be. I mean, obviously, before you joined, I kind of said it was interesting how Philip Rivers' play elevated behind a decent line for the first time in probably 10 years. So yeah. I think this season will be make or break for Wentz, purely because if he can't operate behind probably a top 10 O-line, maybe even top 5, who knows? If he can't operate behind that, then he's broken.
Yeah.
I still think he's
That's
broken.
true.
Personally,
that's true.
I think last year you couldn't getting injured before the Super Bowl, seeing Nick Foles take your team to the Super Bowl, statue outside, all that shit. When that happened, to be honest, I think that was the end point then, and he's just digressed and digressed. So it can't be good every time you walk up to your home stadium and see someone else who had won the Super Bowl. I mean, it's pretty shitty. But
they put a statue out there.
Is
there a statue in Nick Foles?
Yeah, it's all it is, but it's also a little bit anticlimactic as well, because you only really put a statue outside of, say, a former player or a former coach if you've won multiple championships. That was your first one, and already you all think you're the hottest shit this side of the Three Rivers. I don't think so.
You say that, though, but Fulham had a fucking statue of Michael Jackson outside their fucking stadium.
That's a different conversation for another day.
Exactly.
There's plenty of season left, Nick, don't worry.
Statues. I mean, there's only one statue that I've seen that, to me, means a lot. And, of course, Dwight Clark, number 87.
Yep.
It was the anniversary of his death on Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure.
I think it was
Was it Friday? I
Yeah.
think it was Friday, wasn't
It was Friday, I think so. Yeah.
and that's one thing apart from obviously going out to the Bell Bottom Stadium. That's what I'm actually looking forward to seeing, just joining up with the faithful. Sam stepped away. He's going to restart his router, hit it with a hammer, and hope for the best. So we'll carry on with this. Let's talk actually, because we didn't really touch on it much last week. John, what are your thoughts on Goff going and swapping over QB positions with Detroit? Are you glad he's gone? Personally, I'd wish he'd have stayed because we got his number every fucking season.
Man, it makes sense. I mean, he's where he should be. If you suck, you don't belong in a good program, right? So, I wish he would have stayed too, Nick. But ultimately, I believe that Stafford going to the Rams program, all jokes aside, that concerns me, man. It really does. I don't give a damn about the Detroit Lions. I mean, they've never been a threat to us. But Stafford in a Rams jersey, it kind of concerns me. He's good, Nick. I mean, he's a good quarterback, dude. And I will never take that away from him. I mean, the proof is in the pudding with that dude. His stats speak for themselves. He may not have accomplished a lot there. And I don't know if it had anything to do with the program or the coaching. There were significant pieces there to win a championship. But I think it takes more than just your number one receiver and a quarterback to do it. I kind of wish you would have stayed, Nick. I kind of wish you would have stayed, man. I don't know what kind of – I don't know if – I really don't know, man. The Rams have the receivers. They've got the defense. They just needed somebody competent enough to throw the goddamn football. And Stafford's probably that guy for them. So, we really need to bolster up our defense, man. And I think we need to just shit or get off the pot with this Trent Williams shit because it's bothering me, man. I mean, we don't even have a secondary, Nick, and all we could talk about on the regular is Deshaun Watson, 2 number ones, Warner, Kittle, Bosa, Kinlaw, Jimmy Ward. One of those guys are in the mix if we go after that dude, and I'm not happy about that.
Definitely, and I still say we're not even going to entertain anything like that. You don't get your building blocks and then all of a sudden shit the bed and just ditch.
Because I don't believe we're one player away, dude.
Sorry.
I don't believe that we're one player away from winning a championship. No. We don't have a secondary right now. We have a left tackle at a question mark. We still have Mike McGlinchey. We have a number of question marks across the board. So we are not just one player away. So I'm not willing to mortgage the farm to do it.
Especially if you lose Trent Williams, that'll be a huge blow.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Harrison, what do you think? Good morning, Carly. Let's just read out that. Good morning. I don't believe the 49ers are distracted by signing a QB. I think us fans are distracted by the rumors. I think the only rumor that had any truth was Stafford. Every player that gets released or everyone's linked to the Niners, which is ridiculous, really, because we've got our own issues, and I'm with you, John. I don't know if we are going to re-sign Trent Williams. I hope we do, but then there may be other free agents out there that are cheaper, just as good. And as you said, McGlinchey on the right is still an issue. Maybe he might go back to eating meat and not be vegan, and it might bulk him up instead of getting pushed on his arse every play. You never know, do you?
Plenty of
Harrison,
time.
what are your thoughts on the Detroit and Rams QB carousel swap?
Detroit just got even more boring by getting Jared Goff in there. They haven't been good since probably before you was born, Nick. I
was born a long time ago, trust me.
Exactly. But it's a strange one because Matthew Stafford wanted out of Detroit no matter what. So he was going to a team that wasn't Detroit, a bit like Deshaun. He wants out of there. Jared Goff, I mean, was he any good? Probably not. Is he any good? Probably not. I mean, it's the defense that carries that Rams team every season. And now they've got a quarterback who, you hear from everyone else in the league. Matthew Stafford is the guy. Just put a team around him. And the one thing Cowboys don't do is build around their team. So for me, I imagine it will work out for Matt Stafford a bit. Probably 1 or 2 more years, probably a couple of playoff runs. For Detroit, it's just going to be another shit show. Pardon the language, because the owner's a disgrace. So it's just one of them, innit? Like John was saying, who cares about Detroit really, apart from their own fans? So it's not really
the Ford family certainly don't give a shit about the team, do they? Let's be honest. Carl, what do you think? Are you excited to see the Rams with Stafford? Because as you said, let's face it, who gives a shit about the Detroit Lions apart from the Detroit Lion fans? What do you think?
The Rams are a strange team. Since 2016, they've only had one first round pick. They seem to trade away their first round picks. Like, no, we don't want them. We don't want them. Over the last couple of years, that defense has always been their unit. It's been their bread and butter. So they're always going to be in the mix to be in the playoffs. But I just had no trust in Jared Goff. He's okay at best. He's probably a higher grade higher than Blake Bortles, if that's not being too cruel.
That is being very, very harsh because Blake Bortles, Jesus wept. God Almighty! I don't know who. I don't know who should be more insulted, Goff or Blake Bortles. I mean, Blake Bortles kind of reminds me of a fit Sam Bradford. Not very good and got a shit ton of money for doing not a lot. No,
I think now that Stafford has gone to a team where it's not just a very good team, the Rams O-line is good. I think has Andrew Whitworth announced his retirement, or is he still playing for another season?
I would hope so, because he must be about 75 by now.
Well, if he is staying, then then the Rams line is good. They've got a number of decent running backs as well. They've got 3 young stars coming through all at once. Receiver, you still got Cooper Kupp. I think Josh Reynolds is a free agent. I think he'll be gone, but that's all right. They got Van Jefferson in last year's draft, so that's going to help him. The quarterback was the only. I think the Rams were the same sort of situation as what the Colts were. The defense was there. They got the O-line. They got the weapons. It's just the main product. It's just the quarterback. You've put Stafford in there now. I think the Rams are going to be a thorn in the ass of the NFC West. I think they're going to be really, really troublesome to beat. And to make matters worse, where's the Super Bowl being played next season? SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, lightning's not going to strike twice because there's no way on this earth the Rams are going to be in the Super Bowl next year. I don't give a shit if Jesus was the quarterback. There is no way that choke fest and smoke and mirrors McVay, they're going to lose 2 games to the Niners, even with Jimmy G at quarterback. So very interesting, actually, what you were saying about running backs.
Darrell I think it was Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, and Malcolm Brown, I think his name is. Those 3 are so productive.
They did look good last year in spurts. I'll give you that.
I mean, Kameka's absolutely ran our defense into the ground in week 14. So,
but that's not difficult because the Patriots were dog shit last season, Carl, and you can't put glitter on a turd and make it look good, I'm afraid. Craig, you've escaped the mother-in-law. Welcome along, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Nick. How are you guys doing? All good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, all good. All good.
From a draft perspective, obviously, with what's been going on in Philly, etc., has that altered anything, do you think, or are they pretty much still going what you thought?
I think this one's been on the cards for a while, hasn't it? I think everybody knew. I think maybe the GM came out and said, if we're going to get a quarterback, it's going to be a veteran. We're not going to go out there and draft a rookie. We're not going to be looking to move up for a rookie. The Colts think they're in a Super Bowl window, and they think they're that one piece away, and that's why they've gone away and hoping that Carson Wentz can be that guy in the same way as they were hoping Philip Rivers would give them a year or two and be that guy. So for me, it hasn't changed anything for the Colts. I think the thing that I put out on Twitter the other day, does this bring the Eagles into play for a quarterback at 6? And there's an argument that says, yes, it's one of the most valuable positions in football. And actually, if you've got a chance at Justin Fields or Trey Lance at 6, you should go for it. But I think the thing that, you often get this kind of saying, new coach, new quarterback. And yes, they've got a new coach in there, but actually the GM is still the same guy. And having invested a second-round pick in Jalen Hurts last year, is he then going to put a first-round pick out for another quarterback and have an open competition? And who knows who wins that one and what the value of the guy that loses that competition ends up like. So I think there's a strong chance the Eagles don't necessarily go quarterback in the first round. Now, could they look to bring in a veteran? So again, I think I made the link back to Nick Foles, who's a free agent this year. Someone like Mitch Trubisky might come relatively cheap as giving them some kind of veteran competition in Philadelphia. Or do they look to put another a mid-round pick in on? I think we talked about Kellen Mond or Sam Erlinger a few weeks ago, didn't we? And do they go somewhere like that and bring somebody like that in who they think they could develop and in the meantime give Hurts the starting job and go from there? So it'll be a very interesting one to see what they do in Philly. But on I think you guys were just talking about the Detroit and LA trade as well. And I think, again, the Rams are another team who believe they're in their Super Bowl window, don't they? And that's why they're trading away these future picks. That's why they're trying to bring in these stars. And that's why they're trying to find the missing pieces. They think the window for them is now.
Unfortunately, the rest of the NFC West don't agree with it, but that's another story. It's going to be interesting. I'm also kind of, obviously, from your side of things, Carl, what have you been hearing? And this is the last subject before we get into NFL players. And by the way, Sam, make sure you don't spit any blood out because you are going to be fuming, because I certainly don't think you're going to see any of your 3 top 3s, I'm afraid. So don't spit any blood out. Don't spit any more teeth out. Carl, QB next season. What do you think is going to happen at New England?
What I'm hearing at this moment in time is Cam Newton has not been ruled out, but it's still very unlikely that he will play for us again. What I'm hearing a lot is a very certain name who used to play for Tennessee and is now with the Raiders, and that's Marcus Mariota. And apparently the Raiders are permitting, they would only want a 5th round pick for Mariota to be traded to whoever deems him fit to do so. I would take Mariota
for 5th. That's a steal.
It is but I mean, Mario was good for Tennessee, but unfortunately, that team at the time, they just was not very good. And that O-line completely and utterly crushed him, unfortunately. Going to the Raiders, I don't know what help that has done. Probably John Gruden's maybe toughened him up a little bit. But I would take Mariota. I mean, I did say Carson Wentz for us or the Colts, but I think in the end he went to the Colts for the right move. And also, according to ESPN, an ESPN reporter, the Patriots had no interest whatsoever in Carson Wentz. So he was he's only going to go to one place. I was like, right, okay, he's going to Indianapolis. Let's just end the conversation there. But yeah, it does sound like Marcus Mariota is on everyone's radar. Derek Carr.
Did he win? Did he go in for Carr and win?
I think
towards
he did,
the end of the season.
I think he, without checking the last season's fixtures, I'm not sure.
I feel like it was a shootout. Wasn't there like a shootout? I feel like it was a pretty high scoring game.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
I can't remember what game, but he definitely
unless he came in for Carr. I can't remember how it played out, but I believe
he came in for Carr.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember what game it was though, but no, he did. It looked to be pretty good. All I'll say is this: though, the Pro Football Focus, they ranked the Colts' offensive line 7th overall in the NFL. Although the Patriots were absolutely dog shit last year, the offensive line was actually ranked number 4, and that was with our starting right tackle out and our starting right guard out. We had 2 rookies in there. Protect Mariota, give him some weapons. Let's see what the kid can do. I'll run with it. But again, everyone's saying no. Now we need to trade up to go and get like Zach Wilson or Trey Lance. I thought without giving up not just our second round pick of this year as well. That's too much capital for us to give up, especially when we're not even playoff contenders.
I think Mariota will be a good fit for you guys. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I know it was a small sample size last year, obviously. With that one game, he came in for the Raiders and he actually looked pretty good. But that's not to say that will continue. That could have been a flash in the pan. Good morning, Deion. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, fellas. How y'all doing? Good morning, Mr. Highsmith. I have to say Mr. because I feel like you're my elder and it's just a respectful thing to do.
Whereas you'll call me any sort of names, right, Deion?
Yes. You are. I'm still trying to work through last week now. Still trying to work through last week and what you did to us, but I'm gonna let it slide.
I'm just glad I brought it up before you did.
Yeah, we're still not happy about that, Craig. But we'll let it slide because we like you. We like you. Right now, we're gonna get on to our first topic. Top 3 NFL all-time players. Now, I've already done mine, and I did mine on an earlier show, but I'll just mention them. We don't need to discuss them because I'm more interested in what your guys are. Mine were Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and the one and only Dick Butkus. Those were my top 3 all-time NFL players. So you've got the GOAT twice, and the baddest he was the Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet when he played for Chicago. All 3 Hall of Famers. So that was my 3. So let's go round the room with your first one and why. Carl, what is your number? Or you can either do number 3 first, or you can get into the meat and potatoes and do your first one. It's up to you. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna go.
Or do you want to do 1?
I'm gonna go reverse. I'm going to go reverse this time because I think my number 1 is obviously going to be way too obvious. Because I've only watched the NFL now for, 10 years? I can only go by what I have seen from 2010 up till now. I could go back all time, but then I wouldn't have remembered them. So I have to go by what I've seen so far. Third place in my list is Julian Edelman. And the only reason being why that, because he was the first jersey I ever bought was Julian Edelman. He was a kickoff returner and a punt returner when he first arrived in New England. 6th round pick out of Kent State. He was quarterback. Bill Belichick converted him into a wide receiver. What I like about receivers, I like all the flashy catches and all this, that, and the other. But Julian Edelman just gave something different. He was a dog. He was a war horse. He will scratch and claw to get that ball off, and he will actually push and shove anyone out the way to actually go and get his way. That's why I respected Julian Edelman so much. Number 2, I'm going to go with the monster at defensive end. I'm going for J.J. Watt. The guy is, during his first 4 years, he was just literally unguardable. He was basically the Gronkowski of the defensive side of the ball. You needed at least 2 guys on him to actually try and stop you, and even then, that was virtually impossible. He was just
Aaron Donald before Aaron Donald.
Donald
before Aaron Donald. Yes.
Basically, yeah. Thank you for reciting my comment I made last week, Deion. Number 1, and I have to go with this. I have to go with Tom Brady. I just have to. I'm not going to explain why. I just have to.
Well, at least you made the shark happy, bless him. So he's kept his teeth.
I'm not going to stroke it. I'm not stroking Shark's ego. Come on. What?
Okay, Sam, I'm really interested because you're round about my age. So I'm quite interested to hear your top 3 all-time players. Sam, the floor is yours.
Okay, hopefully I can get these in before my connection goes bad. I'll start with number 1. It's Lawrence Taylor, man. He's I think he changed the position, amazing in all respects, and one of the biggest reasons I actually went to UNC, and I was two grades younger than him, so he was at Carolina when I was there. He's the kind of guy who would talk to you at the club, but he would talk to you. He's just as nice as he can be, but vicious on the field, man. I remember the line from the movie The Blind Side, and how they basically started with the clip of him tackling Joe Theismann and breaking his leg, and people had to scheme and change their offense because of LT. So he's number 1. And number 56 has a relevance, which I'll get to in a second. Number 2 for me is Jerry Rice. I just love Jerry Rice. That's the first jersey my son had. We bought a Jerry Rice jersey. Can't say a whole lot. It was close between him and Randy Moss, but my son said Randy Moss. So I said no, Jerry Rice he's the GOAT. And I have a three because he's playing now and he's my family member. But I had to put my son as my third all time, my favorite. Nick told me to do that. But if I had a 3A, O.J. Simpson, the football player, not what the world knows O.J. Simpson now. Man, in my youth, it was nothing smoother than watching O.J. run that ball. It was amazing. I was one of those who tried to defend him for the longest time because I said not O.J. Juice couldn't have done that, but I've kind of gotten past that now. Those are probably my top 3. Eric Dickerson right there with OJ because I love Eric Dickerson. I love his running.
Definitely. And as you said, you had to put your son in there because if you hadn't have done, you never know. He might have watched this video and then you wouldn't have got any Air Jordans or anything. You might have got a pair of Pumas or something if you were lucky. But good choices there. Yeah. OJ, unfortunately, when he came to the Niners, he was
and the wife would have
shot. Yeah, your wife actually. Yeah, your wife.
Yeah, my wife would have been upset too if I didn't pick him in the top 3. So
there you go. You've saved the family on.
That's 1 at 55. We won at 50. Am I back yet? Yeah, I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
We won at 55 for number 5. We want to kind of double.
Back.
I kind of went with 56. I said, let's go with 56, man. It's LT's.
We just about got that. You are cutting in and out, unfortunately, Sam, but we will try and stick with it. Harrison, 1 to 3, 3 to 1. Which way are you going?
I'll go 3-1. This list, making this is hard because there's ways to look at it. There's obvious contenders for me being a Colts fan, T.Y. Hilton, Edgerrin James, there's loads. But I've gone personal favourites. Number 3, Joseph Adai, running back for the Colts during our Super Bowl run when we won it in Miami. Simply because if it weren't for Joseph Adai, I'm not supporting the Colts today because he was my favourite player to watch. His first step in his cut was fantastic. It's just a shame his career was cut short by injury because he was on that Edgerrin James level. Number 2, Ray Lewis. Do I have to say anything else? I think looking at what Darius Leonard can do, he's just an embodiment of Ray Lewis and what he did on the ball. So it's just amazing to see. I'm a defensive guy. That's why Ray Lewis is up there. And would I be a Colts fan if the Sheriff and probably Denver's best quarterback, Peyton Manning, wasn't number 1? Probably not. So, yeah. Joseph Adai, number 3, Ray Lewis, number 2, and Peyton Manning, the GOAT, who is always better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady lives in his shadow, number 1. So, yeah.
I can't argue.
We all know it was the front 3 of Denver that won Super Bowl 50 in Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, and Derek Wolfe. So come on, man.
Harrison, it's so easy to reel Carl in. It really is.
I mean,
mention Cam Newton a few times. Good choices. I can't agree with Ray Lewis off the field, but on the field, definitely that dude was bad. John, let's go. What's your top 3 all time?
Man, 3 all time. 3's tough, Nick. Could we do like 5, 10? 3 is tough, but I'll start from 3rd. I've got some Chicago Bears influence in my life and have for the last 25 years. A good friend of mine. So I'm going to go with Brian Urlacher as my 3rd. 2nd, I'm going to go with obviously my man Jerry Rice. And 1st, obviously Joe Montana.
Cool. Yeah, Brian Urlacher again played on a...
Dude, that's a nasty dude right there, man.
Not a great team, but again, he was one of those guys that did carry them. It was just, I can't think of the QB they had, and he was absolutely...
Oh, man, they had a bunch. They had a bunch of shitty quarterbacks. They had...
the one that took him, Rex Grossman, that's right.
Rex Grossman.
They got to the Super Bowl.
He had no accuracy. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if he tried, man.
Or, as we say in England, he couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo.
No, cow's arse.
Craig, what's your top 3 all-time NFL players?
Well, I was about to go with Rex Grossman, but I think I'm probably going to scrap that one.
Yeah, you might want to. I don't think that's a good choice. That is not a good choice.
Craig, if you'd have gone with Sexy Rexy, then unfortunately your internet connection would have completely dropped and you'd have been back with a mother-in-law within 30 seconds, trust me.
Brilliant. No, thankfully I have not. So again, I'm in a same kind of situation as Carl. I've only followed the game for probably 15 years, but not a particularly long amount of time. So I'm not looking at some of those historical guys that some players who've played before my time. So at 3, I've gone with a player who basically just made one great play in his career, but what a hell of a play it was. I've got David Tyree for that catch.
I knew it.
Just has to be like that.
That's it.
That for me, I was on my Erasmus year abroad. I was scrabbling to watch the game. over in Germany somewhere, and just the David Tyree catch, the place I was in, just completely went mental and sticks. That will stick with me forever. So I had to get him on the list. At 2, then interesting that LT got a mention because I've gone LT2, Ladainian Tomlinson. When I first got into watching the game and started playing fantasy football and stuff, Tomlinson was one of the guys that I seemed to somehow draft every year. So, of course, I was always watching him, seeing how he was getting on, loved the way he played, get him in and around the goal line, and he was just punching them in for fun. But he brought so much to that Chargers offense for a number of years, and I just really enjoyed watching him play. But at number 1 for me as a Falcons fan, actually the player who really got me into following the Falcons and who I enjoyed watching from when I first was kind of learning the sport was Roddy White. Superb receiver, great hands, making all the catches. Even before Julio Jones was doing it, before Calvin Ridley was doing it, White was the man. So I had to go with Roddy White as my number 1.
Some very interesting picks again. We got just another question from Callie. Who was better, Urlacher or Willis?
I'm gonna have to do this. I'll take this one.
Dude, that's
it's
heated.
Really
that's
tough,
gotten me in heated arguments.
But here's where Urlacher beats out Patrick Willis. It's longevity.
Yeah.
Urlacher played longer than him. Had Pat Willis not had that issue with his feet, then Pat Willis would have surpassed Brian Urlacher. Because if you just put in the time frames that they played, I would say just Pat Willis. But longevity is the only real determining factor for me. So that's why I give the nod to Brian Urlacher. But as far as like when they were playing, I take Pat Willis all day. He was way more ferocious of a player than Urlacher was. And off the field, I don't like Brian Urlacher.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go after the character of the person, I mean, Patrick Willis checks all the boxes, bro, for sure. But on the field, Deion, dude, Urlacher was a beast, man.
He
was almost their entire defense for quite some time. I mean, if you check out his stats, they're intense. But I agree with you. Longevity is the key there for anything. I mean, he played the game longer. He got a jacket. I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame. So, but yes, if we're gonna talk about the all around the man, the myth, the legend, brother, Willis checks all the boxes, man. That's just a great dude. Just a great dude.
I agree with you, Deion. Longevity does count, and you can't say anything about obviously the longevity of Urlacher. He played longer than Willis, but on the field, Patrick Willis for me. It's a shame we were having his best years, and then obviously his feet and whatever caught up with him, and him and Bowman in the middle were bad men. They were awesome. It's just a shame we didn't have a team round them at the time that could have taken us further. It's very interesting because you always get positional players, kind of like JJ Watt and other players that carry the team and never see that glory. And I think Willis and Urlacher fit into that place, really, Cole, don't you?
Yeah, I think one person. Oh, Sam's back, by the way. I think the one person that did actually spring to mind, if I was born at like 10, if I watched the NFL like 10 years a lot earlier than what I used to do, I would have probably put Dan Marino down as well, because he was an absolute outstanding quarterback, but was never to win the big one.
No, he definitely. I mean, he was slinging it all over the yard. Definitely. Okay, so I think we're done with our Oh no, we got Dion. Sorry, Dion, I forgot you
Oh, you're
haven't given
fine.
us your top three. And is any 49ers in your top three? And are you going 1 to 3 or 3 to 1?
I'm going to go 3 to 1. And I consider this to be one 49er because the other person was with us, but he wasn't with us long enough to really consider him a lifetime 49er. For number 3, my greatest running back of all time is Barry Sanders.
Ooh.
Barry Sanders did more with less than anything. If you put Barry Sanders behind the line that they had in Dallas, that man would have had 50,000 yards rushing. Easy.
Shit. Probably.
Like he would have.
Yeah.
People don't understand what Barry Sanders had to go through. That man had one Pro Bowl offensive lineman his whole career. And one Pro Bowl receiver in Herman Moore. That was an atrocity what happened to that young man when he was, man, Jamie Duke said it best. I was watching like top 10, one of the little top 10 things on NFL Network, long story short. And he said, when you were trying to tackle Barry, they would tell you all the time, don't let him make you do the Lord's Prayer. Because when you try to tackle Barry, you be doing this. The man was so shifty. He always made a play, and he was one of the fastest human beings I've ever seen run in my life. For me, number 2 is Jerry Rice. I don't even have to expound upon that. I've heard a little bit of these rumblings between him and Randy Moss on who's the GOAT. Let me tell you something. Jerry Rice may have had the crappiest 40 time in the world. But if you ask any NFL DB about game speed, not you standing there in tights and a shirt and some cleats. Because if you run a 40, I always felt like the 40 should be run fully padded with a helmet on. You know why? Because anybody can run a 4.5 if you're in good enough shape. It's easy. It's not hard if you're in good enough shape. But, I always felt like that was skewed. But, I mean, there's not really much else. It's just Jerry Rice. He's the greatest 49er of all time to me. And better man off the field, great man on the field. You never saw anything negative about him in the press, and he played because he really loved the game. There's so many people out there playing for money and for other things. He played because he loved the game. And number 1, I think it's a little obvious, is Deion Sanders. My name is Deion as well. I was always gifted his monikers as I was a kid growing up into high school. Still to this day, I still got buddies who call me Prime Time, all kinds of stuff. Deion just embodied who I was as a kid and who I would have liked to be had I played football. He had the talent, and he knew he had the talent, and there was nothing you could tell him. And the man was, to me, the greatest dual sport athlete ever. He played baseball, he played football. I remember he played a night for the Falcons and played for the Braves and had great games in both. And that's really hard to do. So, I mean, to me, Deion tops my list strictly based on, what I saw when I was growing up, man. I was drawn to him just because of everything, man. The flyness, the flashiness, and then seeing who he is now as a man and where he is in life. And I mean, I follow him on everything I possibly can, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, which is all I really have because I don't do the rest of that stuff because it all is confusing. But he just embodied, what I would have loved to be if I would have become a professional athlete. And at the same time, I still do some of the things that he does. We mirror each other in small, similar ways. Definitely not in money. But Deion was just the greatest athlete ever. And that there's nothing more to say. And hello to John's beautiful little girl over there.
John's doing his dad bit. You see, look, there you go.
Of course,
come here.
got
Let
to,
me
man.
wipe
Daddy
your.
do the
Let
draws.
me.
You gotta make it happen.
Let me wipe your nose, etc.
Yo,
et
it's
cetera.
crazy
very
winter here, dude, and it's destroying us, man. I mean, we are dried up. The heat's up. The snow is brisk, cold. It's icy. It's shit. My dog won't even walk on this goddamn snow, bro. It's like walking on glass. Your feet go through, man. They cut, dude. It's evil. It's evil. It's one of the worst winters for like the last 5-6 years, man. For just like, I don't know, man. It hasn't been that bad around here, man, the last few years, but this year, man, this particular year right now is some crazy cold shit. I've seen some of the weather that you guys have been getting, and it does look it looks crazy. It's messing up Texas, man. They're struggling, man. Probably Jerry Jones had something to do with that weather, but that's another story. Shit. Probably important. Jerry's on his yacht in Miami picking his ass. Yeah, he don't. I was gonna say he doesn't care.
Jerry doing the same thing Ted Cruz did. He running to Cancun, man.
Oh.
If he's got any sense.
I wondered when it was going to get political.
When you get that kind of bread, baby, you can just go wherever you please. You go where the weather is fair weather. You know, you move to whatever you need to, man. You get that kind of money in that level, you do what you please. And I can't knock you for it, man. Hey, you know, I was hearing you guys talk earlier about the whole Goff and Stafford thing. Just to touch on that from my perspective, Jared Goff was trash, and they decided to put him with somebody that knew him well. And that's the only reason he went to Detroit, because there are people in Detroit that know who he is, and they think they might be able to get something out of him. Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback from stat numbers wise, but here's my issue with Matthew Stafford. He ain't won nothing. While everybody crowns him, and the same thing, and to be honest with you, at least Deshaun Watson has won a playoff game. The Detroit Lions have been a dumpster fire for years, and they've never gotten better. And I'm sorry, I believe you had Megatron. I believe you had at least LeGarrette. Didn't you have LeGarrette Blount on the same squad with them too?
Mm-hmm.
Blount wasn't bad. LeGarrette Blount wasn't bad. He was a great running back. And then you have Matthew Stafford. So I'm sorry, if you have triplets, i.e. Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, and Troy Aikman, why couldn't you do that with Matt Stafford, Calvin Johnson, and LeGarrette Blount? Because Blount was running hard when he was with them. So they're a good division, though. They never got anywhere, and they never won anything. So to me, Matthew Stafford is just Dan Marino on crack.
Do you think it was coaching? Deion, do you think it was coaching?
No, Jim Caldwell was there. He won. That man won. He never had a losing record and still got fired.
He went to the playoffs twice. He went to the playoffs twice out of his 4 years. He was coaching there. And they decided to fire him, bring in Matt Patricia, and they did nothing.
And look what happened then.
Nothing.
Yeah, so what was their downfall? Green Bay's in that division. The Vikings are there. The Bears are there. What was their downfall? Ultimately, what brought them down?
For the Detroit Lions, from what I watched for the years that I've known about the Lions, it's either been one or the other. They've never had both. They've always had an offense and no defense, or defense and no offense. And you got to remember, when you had Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley, the defense looked ferocious. The offense was garbage. It's always one or the other. And they were never able to balance it out. Sometimes you can have 2-star players on defense, 2-star players on offense, and serviceable guys around those people in different positions and make things work. For as much as we love our 49ers, there are times where we worked with serviceable dudes. Mike Rumpf wasn't the greatest DB, but he worked for a little bit. Nate Clements wasn't amazing, but he worked for a little bit. You sometimes you're not going to always have a team full of stars. You have to plug and play. But I don't think that, to me, it does any good for the Rams, because they keep trading away their first round picks like candy. They're that dude sitting on the side of the road, offering you something that just doesn't seem to be feasible in real time. Like they're that guy standing there saying, "Hey, man, here's a house right here. You can have it. The keys, the deed, everything. This whole property is yours. The only thing you need to do is pay property tax." And you're like, "Man, I don't believe that crap." And no, really, it's yours. Here, everything. Just sign this paper. That's how they are with their first round picks. It's continuous. And to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, you continually do that every single year. Matthew Stafford, to me, is not going to get them over the hump because he doesn't know how to win. It just, you don't, there's no, if there's one thing that you have to have inside of you, it is a drive to want to win and to want to win Super Bowls. That's why Tom Brady keeps winning Super Bowls, because he wants to. Tom Brady never played for money. You know why? Because he was the most underpaid quarterback in the world. I don't care what you tell me. If I have 7 rings, I should be getting paid way more than Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. I should have been the first $500 million contract quarterback. For 7 rings? You out of your mind? I'm breaking your bank.
That's
But
true too, man.
play
Isn't
for
that crazy?
Tom Brady
when you
plays
think about
for
it?
the love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't. I don't think Matthew Stafford has an inning. It's just like the simple comparison between LeBron and MJ. You can't. You know why? MJ was a killer on the court. He wanted to rip your heart out of your chest, stomp on it in front of you, and watch your body fall and lay lifeless.
And he did it
LeBron
to his
was more
teammates too, bro.
Yeah.
He even roughed them
did it
up.
to
He was
because
rough with everybody.
The person that was closest to him, God rest his soul, was Kobe Bryant, because he'll do the same. That's what you don't compare LeBron and MJ. You compare Kobe and MJ because they were the same. Kobe came out and said it best. Had Shaq had better eating habits and he kept his health better, we could have won 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rings. But when Shaq got traded and things just didn't go that way, he left. But Kobe still won one. Why? Because he had that drive, that will. There's something inside of you that has to be there. Matthew Stafford ain't got that, and he don't know how to win in the playoffs. So you really think you're gonna pull this dude over here because you put your system together? Marvin Jones is a free agent, and so is the other. What's the other kid's name he had?
Kenny Golladay?
Yes. They're free agents. Don't you think? I tell you right now, those are definitely upgrades over Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods.
I think they're going to tag Golladay, but I think they're going to let Marvin Jones go.
But if you let Marvin Jones go, tell you right now, I guarantee you wind up in L.A. Matthew Stafford's going to have that pull. He's going to walk into that office and say, "Go get my guy." But you have to have that in you. It must be there. To be honest with you, as much as I don't like Tom Brady's a winner and he's a killer. He has that dog in him. He has that fight. He has that want. He has that drive.
But he also understands the balance.
Yeah.
He didn't take the payday because he knows he needed.
That's why I said he never saw him grossly overpaid. He barely was in the top 20 of highest paid quarterbacks ever. And that never made sense. When you look at it from that perspective, I mean, yes, your wife is Gisele Bundchen. She's beautiful, all that other stuff. And yes, she makes a shitload of money. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Just from a ego perspective, you want to be able to throw around that, baby, I'm bringing home some bread too now. Just it ain't just Gillette commercials. Bob has treated me well. And nah, he couldn't say that. Robert, he never said that. But he knew. It's like John said, he knew the balance. So Matthew Stafford to the Rams ain't changing a damn thing for me. We've been had McVay's number, and McVay ain't nothing but a baby Shanahan in the first place. He running our system. It's the same thing. If you look at the run plays that they have, look at what the 49ers did. It's almost like watching a mirror image. That's like Mr. Highsmith looking in the mirror and standing right next to his son. He just sees himself at that age. There's no difference. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Matthew Stafford's going to make much of a difference. You're not going to give him too much. You're going to give him a little bit. And then when he fizzles out, they're going to have to draft a quarterback. And let's pray to God they use a first round pick if they have another one, and they still gonna be stuck in the same spot. You can't mortgage your future on somebody who doesn't know what it's like to win. He's never been there. Never. They make the comparison that, Deshaun never won anything, but Deshaun has won a few playoff games. He's had that. No, Callie, I'm not even going to consider that. No. And he will not be asked to restructure, but let me stop on my rant because I'll go into D Ford and just never stop because that is the worst contract ever. Parag Marate screwed up. How you give D Ford an injury guarantee? He's injury prone. That man played one full year because he knew he had to get paid. And that year was spectacular. And look at him now. Wasting space, wasting cap space, can't even pass a physical so we can cut him before we have to pay that man. Sucks.
Someone threw the kryptonite and lit the touch paper, Deion. We are definitely we are going to be a D Ford free zone because I'm like you. It just pisses me off. Really pisses me off. And most contracts Parag Mate does, you can't knock the guy, but there's two at the moment, obviously Ford and Garoppolo, but that's another story. Let's get on to best ever football movie. And this is going to be interesting because I think, again, people of a certain age will like certain films and the young pups amongst you will probably pick something quite recent. So let's go with some young pups and let's go with Harrison, aka Chewbacca. What is your favourite football movie?
My favorite footballing movie. I mean, with Denzel Washington as their coach, you blitz all night. They don't gain another yard. It's got to be Remember the Titans. Just, I think, especially Americans, you have this category of movies and it's just American cheese, and you watch Remember the Titans and it's just pure cheese and I love it. It's a fantasy story. It's team coming together, and it was probably my first insight into American football from is it a high school team, I believe it is, or a college team?
Yes, high school.
High school, yeah. It's just, and, Denzel Washington could motivate me to run about 3 marathons back to back. So he's a great actor. Will Patton also as Coach Yates. It's just a fantastic story. So yeah, Remember the Titans for me all day.
Nice. Come on in, Carl. Are you going to give us something over 10 years old or are you going to...
No, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to do something over 10 years old. But I'm about probably rocks are about to come through the screen if I say this, Phil. There's a certain film I watch every week, one regular season, which is just to build up to the actual NFL games itself, and also the night before the Super Bowl on a Saturday night. It always gets me in the mood. Always gets me pumped up. It's funny as fuck, and it's The Longest Yard.
Yeah.
Before you expand, is that the original or that dog shit remake with Adam Sandler?
No, it was a remake.
Okay.
You are fucking kidding me. Right, that's it. Carl, say your goodbyes, please. The Shank Club now has revoked your privileges. I'm changing the password on this fucking program. I can't, but I've just got to mute myself because you've got to now just justify how a remake is better than the original. Oh, and hashtag spoiler alert, the original is my football film, and I'll tell you why in a bit. So, Carl, tell me why that dog shit remake is better than the original.
Because I've never seen the original one, that's why.
I've got to mute myself again. Carry on.
That's the God's honest truth. That's
Carl,
the God's honest
Carl,
truth.
Don't apologise
That's
for Nick being really old. It's not your fault.
Jesus Christ. Christ on a bike. Jesus. Well, so what is it then? Okay. What is it for you, Carl, that makes that film? Because obviously the original and the bullshit version are actually quite close. So what is it for you that makes that movie good?
I think it's just the actual story of it. Adam Sandler, who was a professional quarterback playing for the Steelers, he gets thrown out for apparently he was shaved off points in a game. Ends up getting arrested for drink driving, stealing his girlfriend's car, which is still funny. Ends up going to one of the most toughest prisons in Texas. And the actual storyline of it, how it all comes together, is fantastic. And also at the time, I was also a bit of a wrestling nerd as well. So the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, they were in there as well. So it brought a little bit of nostalgia back to me for when I was watching wrestling back in my younger days.
Blimey. Craig, please take me out of this funk and give us another decent film about football. Jesus, wet.
You know what? This is a dreadful blind spot for me. I try not to spend too much time watching movies, to be honest with you all. It's just not something that appeals to sit down for 2.5 hours and watch one program going on all that time. So I can't say I've seen any. Is the honest answer?
No, that's fair, Dog. That's fair.
I've seen a few movies in my 33 years, but I've not seen any football ones. So dreadful blind spot for me. This subject.
Because
sorry.
Non-footballing movies then will be interesting. Deion, what is your all-time best football movie?
Me and Harrison agree. It's Remember the Titans. I just love what the movie touched on and the realities that it showed you. Harrison said that's one of his first, movies, and that kind of hipped him to football. It probably was one of the things that opened his eyes to what really goes on over here in America. At that time, that stuff was very, very prevalent. As far as Carl, look, man, Longest Yard is a funny ass movie. I like the new one better than I like the old one. And you got to think about it. If Burt Reynolds is in the new one, then he signed off on it. So that tells you that you're good enough. Burt Reynolds is it. Oh, they look money. Yeah, money do talk. Money talk BS1. We all know that. But I like the new one better than the old one.
Burt Reynolds was broke when he.
Hey, look, man. Hey, look, and that movie got him paid, baby. But yeah, no, Remember the Titans. Yeah.
Cool. John, what's your favorite football movie?
Well, I mean, I got a bunch, man. I like. You guys ever seen We Are Marshall?
Yeah.
Based off of the plane crash, that was phenomenal. And the only reason why I took interest in that movie was because of a 93 film called Alive, which was a rugby team that crashed in the Andes. That story was insane. Great movie. I mean, awesome movie. Probably one of my top favorites. So I like We Are Marshall.
Did that have McConaughey?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, yep. I like him. He's a really good actor.
That was one of my favorites. I like the series called The Game. That was hilarious. That's a good flick, man. One of my favorites. So, I mean, movies, it'd be between We Are Marshall and probably, I like The Longest Yard. Michael Orr's story was pretty awesome too. So, that was a pretty good flick. I'd say those are those would be my favorites. I don't really have an all-time favorite, Nick. I like the true stories. I think they hit a little harder. They make it a little more realistic, So I would definitely go with Khalid, dude. Rudy's a great flick too. Shit.
Yeah,
That's an all-timer.
Yeah, great movie.
That's an all-timer. So
Gridiron Gang's got The Rock
Gang.
in it. You gotta love The Rock.
I think I saw that, but I can't remember it for the life of me. Rudy, that's a great one too.
Great movie.
We gotta stretch these out, Nick.
Watch Safety. Watch Safety if you got Disney Plus.
Yes.
Safety was based on a true story, and it's a really, really good film.
There you go. I'll check it out.
Yeah, you got Disney Plus.
Some definitely some good suggestions apart from the Longest Yard remake. Sam, what is your all-time favorite football movie?
I'm gonna have to go with Harrison and Deion. It's The Longest Yard, man. I'm sorry, not my bad. Remember the Titans. Remember the Titans, and that is my all-time favorite movie. Period. I being of my age, 59 now, and I was probably a little younger than high school when this stuff was going on, what these guys were dealing with. But being in North Carolina, being in the South, I mean, that was reality. And like Deion said, it opened a lot of people's eyes to what was really happening. And the fact that it was based on a real event, how, if people can work together and get through this, because those were some tough times. And this is scenes going downtown and how they were told to go and eat in the back, and how Sunshine came in, and he was from California, didn't see as much of it and didn't realize it was like that. It's so real. And to this day, if I sit down and watch from beginning to end, and when Bertier gets in the accident, I start crying. I do. I mean, it was emotional. I remember me and my wife went to see that in the theater, and I was just like, oh my God. And when I see those actors, Bertier, I've seen him in other movies, and when I saw the guy who played, what's the other guy, the other defensive end? I can't think of his name right now.
Talking about Wood Harris?
Julius. Yeah, Wood Harris. Yeah, and I saw him in the Wire. I was like, oh my God, that's the guy from Remember the Titans. He'll always be Julius, Big Julius. And I also hate to do this to you, Nick, but I love the second on Longest Yard. It's me and my son. We will just laugh. We get there, and something will come on, and we'll just do scenes from it. We'll talk about Canicorn, and we'll just. It has so many great
comedians,
one-liner. That's what's so good about it. I mean, the movie itself was probably not the best plot, but oh my gosh, I could laugh for days. I mean,
it was just constant barrage of sarcasm. That's basically all it was.
I mean, and the wrestling guys, not prime time,
Michael Irvin
in there, and Chris Rock. I mean, I even got emotional when Chris Rock died in the movie. I mean that.
And there wasn't a stunt man from Michael Irvin. That was Michael Irvin.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Irvin.
There was no stunt guy for him. Like, that was really Mike. Mike is still in good shape like that. It's crazy.
Well, I had one more.
I'm gonna
Friday Night Lights.
Sorry,
I love Friday Night Lights. I read the book, so I wanted to see the book compared to the movie, and that was my first liking to Derek Luke, and I love Derek Luke in his movies. Glory Road. I've seen Derek Luke in a lot of things. I'm probably the opposite of Craig. I'm more of a movie person than a book person. I'm trying now to get into reading more. I'm getting better at it. But man, I can get a book, I can get a movie and just sit there and analyze it and go back. I love it. Yeah.
Well, you got some good suggestions, Craig. You got all these movies that you heard about, man. If you have the opportunity, brother, you can watch all these flicks, man. But it's gonna take you through a roller coaster of emotions. And then, with the second Longest Yard, you're gonna die laughing. So if you just want to laugh, watch that one first. You just cry. Cheeseburger, any baby.
Man, we'll do that. We'll go put some cheese on it. So funny, man. You a McAsshole. It's great. It has so many lines in it.
It's one-liners. Terry Crews, man.
To be honest, and obviously you all know I've picked the original with Burt Reynolds in it, and I've probably seen that film 100 plus times. I just didn't get the remake because I'm so into the original. I mean, I love Burt Reynolds, Paul Crew, the Wrecking Crew. I think I broke his fucking neck original. Just everything about that was the first film that I watched that had American football in it, and I just loved it. Burt Reynolds is my number one movie guy. Anything with Burt Reynolds in, I love. I can watch Smokey and the Bandit 400 times. Hooper, about when he's a stuntman, is probably one of the funniest films I've ever seen. If you haven't seen the original, go and look at it, but don't look at it like I looked at the remake, because I thought the remake was a piss take of a great original film. But that's just me. I absolutely loved, and again, probably it shades my judgment a bit, because Burt Reynolds is my favourite sort of the 60s, 70s actor. Deliverance, Smokey and the Bandit, all those films. So that may cloud but I just couldn't. When you watch the original, then watch the remake, it is a real rip-off, and they have changed certain things, and it appealed to a new audience, let's say. But being a traditionalist, and my non-favourite football movie, again, is a bit... When you look at it now, and we'll get onto that in a minute, but when you look at the original Mean Machine compared to the remake, it is very dated. Very, very dated. But sometimes the original is better. And I should kick all your asses out of here who said that the remake is better than the original. Seriously.
Just Deion and Sam.
Well, half the show's gone.
Carl,
If you want, just to please you, all right. I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I will find the original version of The Longest Yard, and I will sit down and I will watch it tomorrow afternoon. And I'll watch it tomorrow afternoon.
When you watch the original version, you are going to be just as disappointed. You will look at it and you will go, no. From my timeline, from my era, I like the one with Adam Sandler. Like, you will do that.
The original Longest Yard was really used to like you. I really used to like you. Now,
the original was great, but it doesn't compare to that one. Like it's like Mr. Highsmith said, man. Those one-liners, the comedic acting, and then seeing like some of it. And the crazy thing is like you have, like I said, that was really Mike Irvin. That was really Nelly.
Oh,
Nelly
got my Nelly.
Ball.
Oh my God, yes.
Like Nelly played ball. Like that. You can't. And all those dudes played. You remember Goldberg was in the league. He was a real defensive end. So was Terry Crews. Terry Crews was a 49er.
Yeah.
For a small span.
Yeah, and Terry Crews has the funniest clip on YouTube of getting his arse knocked out. And I love Terry Crews because I love him in The Expendables, and I also love him in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But he got
he's hilarious in Brooklyn
Nine-Nine. And that is the funniest.
That's one of the funny shows, yeah.
Right, so I'm disappointed that you've all dissed me on the original and best.
Oh God, we forgot to even say anything about the warden and his friend, man. Those two.
Oh my God!
Oh my God, that was hysterical. Oh,
the warden's team is
the original,
looking like Colonel Sanders and shit. You should be
the original Captain Canal.
You ain't supposed to be in here talking about the warden's team is rather good. Fanning itself, what the hell?
Oh God, I'm going to go back and watch the original and then watch the remake again. I think I'm going to be like Deion, though. I mean, the original was classic in so many ways.
It's classic.
The laughing, man.
Original.
I think that's one of my favorite ensemble movies too. I love ensemble movies, and that Longest Yard was that brought a lot of people. And what's the guy who played the cheerleader? Oh my gosh.
Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan killed it. I mean, I swear, man, that movie is.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, seriously, right now, I can't deal with you.
You know what? The original, the thing in the original movie that I really, really loved was the bit where they come on the field where they've stolen the uniforms and the guards are in their fucking like threadbare uniforms, and just Burt Reynolds leads out the Mean Machine. It's just I've actually got a Mean Machine Paul Wrecking Crew jersey. That's how much I love that original film.
You got to wear that on the next show.
Wow. Okay, that's
Paul,
yeah.
the
That's impressive.
Wrecking Crew. Unfortunately, I never had the jawline or anything to beat Burt Reynolds. But that dude is bad. Right. Best non-football movie. Sam, let's start with you. What is your best non-football movie?
It's so hard to narrow them down. And honestly, this is one before I was actually born, but It's a Wonderful Life. I love that movie. I started watching that movie, I think by accident. It's probably just on one of the TV shows, and I just loved Jimmy Stewart and the role he played. And at the end, how it made me, because there were some times when I was going through some rough times and having some little bouts of depression, man. And it made you think that how you impact and affect the lives of so many other people, and just that story and how people came together and just did that for him. Yeah, it's cool. That's probably my favorite non-football movie.
See, all of the youngsters in the room now are going, what is that? What is he talking about?
No,
I've
heard of It's a Wonder. I have heard of.
You've heard? Oh, well, at least you've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a classic. Yeah,
every year at Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life, Home Alone, and Die Hard. 3 films every Christmas, without a shadow of a doubt. It's a Wonderful Life. It gives you a good perspective on life. It's a very, again, probably, I don't know, 40s, 50s, great movie.
Yeah, it's really long.
Very good choice. It is.
And a long movie back then was unheard of, man. That thing is like 2.5 hours. I don't know. It's a long.
I mean, normally 90 minutes was the max, and because it cost so much to make the movies back then, it was 90 minutes, and that was your lot. Definitely. John, non-footballing movie, best.
Man, it's hard to pick a favorite, Nick. I love Reservoir Dogs, man. That's one of my favorites, man.
That was a good one.
I'd say I mean, Pulp Fiction's awesome too, man. I mean, there's just hard to pick, man. I have to say anything in the Tarantino, Scorsese categories. I'm a huge fan. So Reservoir Dogs.
You can actually have some honorable mentions if you really want to.
Okay, I mean,
we're
gonna do
3.
honorable mentions, man. I mean, Rounders is an honorable mention. You guys ever see Rounders? That's awesome. It's a good flick. I don't know. I still say Reservoir Dogs. It's got to be one of my. It's got to be my top 2.
I do love the torture scene with Stuck in the Middle with You. I think that, and every time I put it on, people watch it with me cringe, and I'm sitting there going, he's evil, and it is just so funny. But yeah, Tarantino, Scorsese, great directors.
I mean, you can't go wrong,
Craig.
man.
No, definitely. Craig, now, do you have any non-footballing movies or TV series or anything? What you got for us?
I can give you a non-football movie because there is one that if I need to have a laugh, I will put on, and it just cracks me into hysterics every time, and that is Anchorman.
Yeah.
Legend that is Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. That's great.
Every time it gets me, no matter how many times I've heard the quotes, they still make me laugh so much. So has to be Anchorman as my top non-football movie.
Cool. Deion, what you got for us?
I'm gonna veer into the realm of sci-fi to an extent. A lot of people don't know about this movie, but I fell in love with it the first time I watched it. It is The Fifth Element.
Mm.
Yes,
Ever
I've
seen
seen
it?
that.
It's a good film.
Yes, that's very
Bruce
good.
Willis, Mila Jovovich, and a lot of people don't know that that is one of Chris Tucker's very first acting roles. Like that's real early in his career. So this is before Friday and Smokey and all that. So yes, The Fifth Element. I love that movie. That is one of my favorite movies. If you've never seen it, check it out. It is a great film.
Yeah, it's a good choice. Good choice. Carl.
Okay. Top three. I've got a top three. I've got my best British film, but I've had another one in there called most controversial film I've ever watched. Okay, still funny, but most controversial. But the best film I've ever watched in my entire life is none other than The Shawshank Redemption.
It's a good one.
It's just an outstanding
Great
film.
book.
Tim,
Great book.
great book. Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman do an absolute amazing job. Absolutely outstanding job. I don't know if I should name the second one or not because I might get thrown out.
Listen, you've been flamed already.
As you know, right, I'm a huge rock fan, right? So I love my rock music. I have a Queen t-shirt, and yes, I have watched Bohemian Rhapsody. It is
Shocking
a very
film.
it is a very, very good film. And have you kind of known when people do actually end up getting Oscars, they're actors that no one actually knows? Rami Malek, that was one of his first ones he ever done, Bohemian Rhapsody. What's his next film? He's only playing the evil guy in the new James Bond film.
Right.
So,
sorry, Carl, just to jump in very quickly about Bohemian Rhapsody, right? The problem I have with that movie, it's very PC, very woke, and the fact that they didn't use the original music and he sang as opposed to what the film's essence was, Queen and Freddie Mercury. Why did they not use the original soundtrack and bring out that was the thing I didn't get. And I remember watching live Freddie Mercury's performance and Queen, at Live Aid in 1984 when you were probably about 1 or something, or even probably less than that.
Not even that. Not even that. I was born in 91, Queen, mate. Come on.
Oh, Jesus. Fuck me.
But I do remember Queen, I have watched the Live Aid, the concert of Queen, and it was outstanding.
Queen stole that show, right? And the original Live Aid, it wasn't multicultural at the front. There was all white faces because that's how it was. You watch them when they put that on, it's now all multiracial in the front and this, and that wasn't what it was like. And there was a lot of issues with that film. I don't know if you've read, there's a book by, what is her name? Leslie Ann Jones. She wrote the biography of Bohemian Rhapsody was the name of the book, and it's nothing to do with the film. If you get a chance, check that book out because that gives you the true story of Freddie Mercury, not how that film wanted to paint it. It's probably the same as Rocket Man. Now, I haven't seen that, but again,
Rocket Man, I have my doubts over. I have watched Rocket Man, but I have my doubts over. I still enjoyed it, but it was a bit...
I've seen...
I wasn't a big Elton John fan, so I couldn't watch it. It wasn't interesting to me.
No, agreed. You've got to kind of... I think you've got to like the music before you watch it. And I read that book before I watched the film, and I'd rather have read the book and not watch the film, if I'm honest. Sorry, Carl. What was your other one?
The third one is when we like films. It's like we like action, we like comedy, we just like everything to do with films. I like one specific film if you've watched it too many times, because then you start learning the lines of the actual film. You know what's coming up. It's a British film, and it's Hot Fuzz. Every time I put that film on, I just piss myself laughing. My favorite British film And if you've never ever watched this film, you deserve to be stoned for this. It's a really old film as well. Monty Python's Life of Brian.
Anything with Monty Python is hilarious. Anything.
It is
Love that
basically. And my most controversial film. My work colleague from about 6 or 7 years ago. Go watch this film. It's really good. It's a 1974 Western comedy by the name of Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
And
Blazing
I was
Saddles.
like, oh, this is a bit too much. This is
Now,
Oh my
you know
God.
what?
there's the racist wall. There you go. It's just gone.
Yeah, that's definitely un-PC. I love that film.
Very un-PC,
Sitting around
yeah.
a campfire.
Man, Blazing Saddles is a classic. Oh my God.
That was a classic movie.
It's a
What's
great
up, Mr.
film.
Rogers?
We've got a late unfortunately he overslept. He was obviously dreaming about Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
What's up, Scott?
It gave him a nightmare. Scott, how are you, brother?
Automatically took a shot right at him.
I'm good, man. We had a week from hell at work with the weather, and we got down to like minus 16, minus 17, some bullshit earlier this week. So that's Fahrenheit for you.
Damn,
natives over there.
sorry.
So that I don't know.
I am
that is
sorry,
Celsius,
brother.
but that is fucking freezing cold, man. Like
That is
so,
bad.
yeah,
That is
I was
bad.
up late last night and rolled out. I don't remember the last time I slept this late. To be honest with you, I can't believe I did. But felt
I'm
good.
sorry.
I was actually going to send out a search party in Kansas to see if you were okay, because normally you're chomping at the bit to get on here.
Yeah, no,
Obviously,
I'm
we
good.
won't go over everything again that we've discussed, but two things. Your best football movie, what is it, Scott?
The best football movie.
Yes.
You ever seen a movie called Necessary Roughness?
Long time ago.
That's a good flick.
That's a good movie,
Good
man.
one.
It's I don't know. I think most football movies suck. Really, I don't know. Friday Night Lights was a popular one. I didn't really care much for that movie. The one with Keanu Reeves was a real shit movie. What was that? The
Bench
Replacement?
Warmers or something like that. Bench Warmers, I think that's what it was. It was trash.
Yeah, that was
It was called The
something like
Replacements.
that. That was a
Yeah.
terrible movie.
Oh, Replacements. Yeah, sorry.
It was
Easily
pretty
the
bad.
worst NFL.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, easily the worst football movie was Draft Day with Kevin Costner. I mean, that movie was just awful.
yeah.
That was like
Oh, I
watching
like
an
that.
hour and a
Was
half
that-
ad for the
oh.
NFL. Is what I felt like I was watching. It felt like I was watching a commercial for the NFL for about 2 hours.
I watched it after Chadwick Boseman died, so I think I had a different perspective.
Right.
So I think if I watched it before, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. But yeah, that's the only reason I watched it, because he was in it.
But yeah,
Scott
so yeah, I probably-
dropping bombs. Okay, Scott, what is your best so what's your all-time? You got 3. What's your all-time favorite three movies that you watch?
all-time favorite 3 movies. I'm probably gonna go Fight Club.
Yeah.
Ooh,
love that
damn
Great.
good one.
Pulp Fiction. Samuel
Mhm.
Jackson,
Yes.
John Travolta. You can't go wrong with that. Quentin Tarantino's finest film,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. And third, probably Shawshank Redemption, which I know a lot of people pick that as their favorite movie.
Yeah, we've had another
I
one.
did.
We've had another. That's another Shawshank.
Yeah,
What about
you and
Reservoir
Carl.
Dogs, Scott?
Those are probably my 3 go-to. That I mean, if you were stuck on an island, you can only watch 3 movies, right? That's what people say or something. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably where I'm going with that.
Awesome. Right, now, Chewbacca, if Star Wars isn't in your top 3, you're getting sacked. You'll never, ever appear in the franchise again if they do a
Oh,
reboot.
shit.
Disney,
Okay, the only thing I
Disney
have
are
to say is-
watching, Chewie.
It's the way that he says Chewbacca. That's what sets it off. Chewbacca. Not Marcus.
Chewbacca.
Oh shit!
Chewie, Chewy, we're back home. Let's do it.
That's how they say it in Pittsburgh, man. They say it just like that.
You are about as old as Harrison Ford, so I guess you can be my Han Solo, Nick. There's loads of great films out there, and I'm a film buff myself. You know, I'm a proper film nerd. Sporting wise, 42 about Jackie Robinson. I'd recommend go and watch that. Great film. Funny films, you've got Uncle Drew. I watched that for the first time and I cried laughing. You know, about an old basketball guy on the street courts. He gets his old team together. I can't name all the basketball players in there.
Oh, Uncle Drew. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they had, I think Kyrie was in it.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Durant was in it too. Yeah.
It's just a funny film to watch. Classic films, though. I've got 3 classic films, and these are my top 3. American guys you might not have heard of, Snatch, but that's a fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's a good flick.
No, that's a great movie. Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. Point Break, the original. You know, that film made me want to be a bank robber when I was a kid. I thought it was terrible. And then my all-time favorite film is the original Italian Job. Just
wow, yeah,
really good movie.
Yeah, Michael Caine in that is just fantastic, and you know, the driving the minis through the scenes and all that. It's just brilliant.
Noel Coward, famously in that film as well, I believe, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't know we were doing 3. I only did 1.
I really can't know right now. I'm not much of a film nerd.
I said you could have. Okay, Deion, hit me with your 2 honourable mentions then.
Oh, for me, the other one would have to be. I don't know if a lot of y'all have watched it, Menace to Society.
Oh yeah.
Love that movie. And the other one that basically for comedic reasons, anything Jim Carrey, anything. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Ace Ventura's.
I must admit, I don't like Jim Carrey, but I did like The Mask. I thought that was good. Right,
what the hell's the matter with you, Nick? Jim Carrey's a goddamn legend.
I hate all that shit. That rubber faced. I hate
Bean and Benny Hill.
I tell you, I still think it's better.
What is funny? I'll tell you what is funny, Scott. You lot choking in the Super Bowl. But before we carry on, Craig has got to leave us now because he's going. He's got to go back to his mother-in-law and his wife, etc. Craig, it's been good having you on, brother.
Well, just before I go, Nick, and thank you for having me on again. You guys left me with 2 bits of homework from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, Nick, first of all, you asked me about Cale Garrett. So I've been doing a bit of digging, bit of a read, had a quick watch of some tape. To me, Cale is somebody who I think will be you've said he's signed a futures contract with the Giants.
Giants, that's correct.
Giants. He to me is somebody who I think will make a roster as a special teams player to start with. He is somebody who get him around the ball and he'll find a way to make a tackle. He's not going to excel in space. He's not going to be brilliant at kind of dropping out into coverage and that kind of thing. But in the run game, and as I say, I think on special teams is somebody who I think could earn himself a roster spot playing special teams and excelling there. That'd be my take. And then Mr. Rogers, you asked me about Lucas Niang, who the Chiefs drafted at the bottom of the 3rd round last year. And we got onto that because I gave the Chiefs Elijah Vera Tucker, didn't I, in the mock draft last week? And I don't think, 3rd round pick who opted out last year, I don't think that stops the Chiefs necessarily going O-line in the 1st round. But I do think if they like what they saw of him, and clearly that wasn't very much last season, but if they liked what they saw on tape enough to draft him, then it could be, you see a lot of people going, the Chiefs are going to double dip or triple dip at O-line in the draft. If they like Lucas Niang, it might stop them doing that, and it might be that they go somewhere else with those 2nd or 3rd round picks. He doesn't Lucas Niang is the type who seems to me looked more like he would fit a run heavy team. He's 6'6", 6'7", 325, 330 pounds, looks like a sort of, interior guard on a run first, run heavy type team. So I was a little bit surprised that the Chiefs was where he ended up, but who knows? As I say, if they like what they see, it could be that then frees up that 63rd or 95th pick to go somewhere else, go some other way. Because as I say, you see a lot of people talking about the Chiefs drafting O-line early and often this year. So those are the two things you guys left me to go away and do some research on. So
yeah, it's interesting what you say about my man Kale, because I thought that would be his position, would be on special teams. Obviously, the NFL and college is a totally different game, and you hopefully you won't see this, bless him, but he hasn't got the speed. But if someone's in front of him, he's going to knock them on their ass, and coaches like to see that. So that's good. All right, Craig, we'll let you get off. Thank you very much for joining. Hopefully you'll join us next week again when we will think of some other bollocks to talk about. So thanks for coming in, Craig. We do appreciate you.
See you later, Craig.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Craig.
Redo your mock draft. Redo that mock draft.
yeah, sometime soon, Deion. Cheers, gents.
Take care. Sam, so you do have another 2 quick picks, honorable mentions on movies. So do you want to hit us with yours?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Probably, my favorite ones end up being dramas. I just, like I said, since I don't read a lot of books, the movies end up taking the place of those. I would say second is probably The Green Mile. That's another one I ball at the end, man. I'm telling you, that's even another side of Stephen King. I didn't realize that he wrote things like that. And I just, that was special. I love Tom Hanks. Enough said about The Green Mile. And the third one, I love Denzel. I mean, he's already said, Remember the Titans' all-time favorite, but this is one that a lot of people probably haven't seen. But Malcolm X, in my opinion, I think it was as good, if not better, than the role he played when he won the Academy. I mean, he was amazing, and I do believe it was just a time in the United States in the 90s they wouldn't have nominated him for such a controversial role. But I've shared that with a lot of my staff members when I was still an administrator, and say, if you want to watch something, just it's long, but he becomes him. I mean, it's special. So if you haven't seen it, it kind of gave me a good perspective, because I also read the autobiography of Malcolm X, so it was good to compare those two. That was one.
That's my guy. Is Malcolm X in general. I loved his approach when it came to life, and Denzel definitely embodied him when he did that movie. But as far as what you said about him winning, you had to think about it like this: he won Training Day for being what society likes to perceive us as, and Halle Berry won the same award for Monsters Ball, which is one of the worst movies you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, that was not good.
So that just tells you how these award shows go.
Yep.
Right. Well, we saved the best till last, which is me, obviously. So these are my top. In fact, I can't split them, but my all-time 3 favorite movies. Jaws, the original, because there is none better. Goodfellas, which is an amazing film. And Harrison's going to like this. Star Wars, Chewbacca, the original. I seriously, every weekend, one of those 3 films I watch religiously, and it doesn't matter how many times I've seen Jaws, Star Wars, Goodfellas. Doesn't matter. They just capture everything that I've always been into sort of gangster films. Casino's another good one. I kind of not coming to Once Upon a Time in America. So I like the older kind. I love my funniest film or my really feel-good film, Uncle Buck. I love
That was a
it.
good movie. Yeah. Uncle Buck was funny.
It is hilarious. And, you know, Macaulay Culkin before he turned into some freak show. But yeah, I mean, I love Goodfellas. I've read the book. I've seen the film. I've watched tons of interviews with Henry Hill, and I just those films just really, I can watch them all the time, and it's great. I love film. I do love films. I'm not a nerd, but I know what I like, and I'm probably gonna get rocks thrown at me now, but Shawshank Redemption.
Hey man, dude, trying to pick 3 movies. I mean, that's like
it's hard.
That's what hard, because I mean, I go back to old school like Casablanca and some old Humphrey Bogart movies, like some old like black and white shit from back in the day. I mean, there's just so many good movies out there. I like old Western movies too, some old Clint Eastwood, you know. It's really.
You like Bonanza?
The thing is, High Chaparral was another one. Right, we've got before we carry this chat on, we got to say goodbye to another guest. Sam has got to head on out. Luckily, we finally managed to get your internet connection working perfectly. Great having you on. Obviously, anytime we do a show and you want to come on, I'll always send you the link, Sam, if you want to jump in and talk football, films, music, whatever, books. We got to fill this off season, so we got to fill it with something. So let's talk more than football. But Sam, appreciate you coming back. Take care of yourself. Say hi to your boy when you see him next. And take care, Sam. Been a pleasure having you on again.
Thanks, appreciate that. Maybe one of these times he'll be home one weekend, and I'll be on. We'll let him stick his head and say hi to everybody. So.
All right, man.
Take care, Sam.
Let me know.
All right. Thank you.
Care, Sam. Thank you. Take care,
brother.
Take care, Alex.
So, when I was talking, obviously, about movies, it was more favourites you go to. I mean, like, if I'm really pissed off and I've had a shit day or I'm down, or I'll put Friends on. And that is one of the corniest shows ever, right? But there's just something about it that just makes me go to a happy place. A lot of people think it's garbage, but I love Friends. I love Chandler and the whole thing between Ross and Rachel way back in the beginning. I've never watched Series 10 because I don't want it to end. And I don't know how it
John
ends.
B's got a little Ross going, huh? John B look a little bit like Ross.
You throw my sandwich away.
So we got Chewbacca and Ross.
I kid you not. I Friends was not. I only watched the show because it was like I was almost forced to. My oldest daughter's mom, that was like one of her favorite shows. She watched it consistently, and I was like, we have one TV in the goddamn house. And, suck it up watching this crap. So I started to watch only because it was unfortunate. But then after that, I was like, I'm getting another damn television. I can't keep doing this shit. Watching this. It just wasn't for me.
It's funny, isn't it, how different people like different things. And it's like I was saying with Shawshank, I watched it and it was like 3 hours of my life I'm never going to get back. But everyone else loves it, right? So
that's a great flick, man.
Yeah, but I like the
story, man. I'm a sucker for a good story. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I also watch Golden Girls. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, fuck.
That shit was funny. That shit was hilarious.
I like Golden Girls, man.
The mom was fucking funny, man.
It's just good comedy, man. I just like a good story, man, and I can follow it. So, like, I also have the attention span of a fucking stick. So, I mean, it's what it is. I like Cheers. Cheers was a good flick. Some people
Cheers
don't like that shit.
I
like Cheers. You know.
Yeah, that was a good show.
I couldn't watch Cheers. I never could.
I went back.
Seasons,
I've been watching it more lately, and I like it. It's just I think it's something that you pick up the nuances like later on, man. Like when you're more of an adult. When I was a kid, I'd rather fucking stand and drag my balls through glass and fire. But I mean, right now, I can watch it. I loved it.
I heard that was a normal Saturday night
stream. All I heard was drag my balls through glass and fire. That's all I fucking heard. That is, you know?
If you're looking for a movie with a great story, John, you ever watch Interview with the Vampire with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing flick.
That's
great
movie, man.
There's so many out there. You're right, dude. There's so many. It's hard to pick 3. I mean, we could sit here and go on for hours, man. You know, I mean, TV series now almost have taken the place of some movies because shit's getting repetitive. You know, they're going back and using terrible actors to fuck shit up. I hate that, you know. So, you know, TV series now have taken the place of my movie time. You know what I mean? Like I can get into a good series and some are really good now, man. Some of top movies. So it's just what you're into, you know.
I've got an interesting question because we also obviously we've got American guests and we've got us guys from Britain. The Office UK version versus the American version. Have our American friends, have you seen the British version?
Of what?
The Office.
The Office.
No, I am not.
But I do get AMC. I mean, isn't that your network? I mean, I love that shit. That's one of my favorites. What's the one network you're known
BBC,
for?
BBC America.
That's it. BBC. That's it.
It's a bloated broadcasting company.
AMC, John.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not picking up a British accent in Walking Dead. I've got to be fucking this up.
Yeah,
it's called BBC, but we refer to it as the British British broadcasting crap.
Yeah, no, I like British films in general. I've seen like a bunch of stuff. I kid you not. I had a babysitter who used to watch me when I was a kid, and that's how I got hip to Monty Python. It was definitely shit I probably wouldn't be watching, but I found it ungodly hilarious. It was just that funny.
It was basic toilet humor. That's all it was. It was basic toilet humor.
Yeah, and people looked in there like. For me, it was just it was a little bit of culturing myself, you know, because I didn't know much about the UK. You know, I just knew it was the United Kingdom and shit. Their flag looked somewhat similar to ours. I don't know, but it was Monty Python was introduced to me as a very young child. But there's some things in Britain that are fucking hilarious. Some things I don't understand because I have to get your lingo down. So I know what y'all mean. Because there be certain shit y'all be saying. I'm like, what the fuck does he mean?
Well, you see,
and then there's certain shit I'm like, okay, context clues would mean he's thinking this. But it's just like if we went over there, if I went over there for like a month or two, I'd probably be able to start understanding the language a little bit better, making more sense of, the comedy and the shit that's said. Just like people when they come over here. So many people don't even understand what sarcasm is when they come to the U.S. And I'll be looking at people like, yo, he just talked shit about you in your face, right? Oh, no, he was being nice. No, the fuck he was not. You just blind to the fact that he just called you an asshole in a nice way.
I think the thing going back to The Office, if you haven't seen, look, they're on YouTube, Deion. Watch a couple of episodes and then watch the corresponding series 1, episode 1. I personally didn't get the American Office at all. I thought it wasn't fun, but again, that could be the humor crossover and the way.
It was great, that's what it is. You got to find it
to an American audience. Now there was
it's
another
understanding
one.
The balance between both.
Exactly.
You never know.
There was another series over here in the UK, which is one of my all-time favorites, The In-Betweeners.
Yeah,
which was me when I was at school. Okay, again, they're on YouTube. and they did an American version, which I switched off after 10 minutes because it
They
again
butchered it. They butchered it
yeah,
completely.
there was
only
no
got 3
crossover. But if you watch the In-Betweeners on YouTube, you may get it. But when you watch it, that was me and my school friends back in probably what we would call senior school, which you would probably call high school. And they're just a bunch of fuck ups, and it's toilet humor, but if you can get the British humor, it is hilarious. And I know what's coming when I watch it, and I'm still crying with laughter because it is just so funny.
You know about this, Harrison?
What was that?
He's frozen. I thought. Oh no, Chewbacca! I thought he was falling asleep. Oh, Chewie.
Yeah, I was saying, you know what they're talking about? That show?
Yeah. The In-Between, it's hilarious. US tried doing it, and like we said, we just don't have the same comedy. You wouldn't. We
just destroyed it, huh?
Like if we tried doing one of your shows, we'd probably destroy it. If we tried doing Friends or How I Met Your Mother, we would kill it. But yeah, the US, the UK office, I love both versions. Ricky Gervais is hilarious. I feel like once you get past the first couple of episodes of the US office and it becomes its own thing rather than a copycat, it becomes so much better and so much funnier. But just, the In-Betweeners, guys, just watch it because I imagine it's similar to what it was like for you guys at school and college to what it is for us. Just we wear uniforms and we didn't.
We always have our own thing, man. But I've always liked comedy from different places. It all depends on what it is. You know, anything comedic around the world, because everybody has their own life. They live their own way. Shit can be hilarious to some people. Some people is not. But for me, if we're going comedy, I love anything that has Will Ferrell. He's hilarious to me. And the funniest thing is, if you ever watch the movie The Campaign, that is American politics in a fucking nutshell. That is exactly what goes on. There is nothing different. They just speak better. Yeah. That's literally all they do. They just talk a better game. You know, like when he said, you know, they said, how are you going to bring jobs back to the state? And he gave them a bullshit. We're going to put on our hard hats and we're going to pack our lunch pack, and that's how we're going to do it. And he looked at him. He was like, yeah, he just gave you the old DC dip and twirl. He danced around the question. Like, if you ever watch anything political, they never answer the question directly.
Nope.
It's like they could tell them, hey, is the sky blue? Well, you know, what I want to talk about is that the ground is actually black. The asphalt that we lay out is black. And, you know, that is the concrete of our country. Like, they go, oh, what the fuck is you talking? I asked if the sky was blue. What did you know? And see, the thing is they don't ever wrap around that the people that are like controlling these things, they don't ever ask them anything. Perfect example. The last presidential debate for the U.S. They asked,
which was a chronic shit show to start with, but carry on.
Yeah, that could have been fucking comedy in and of itself. But when they did it with the vice presidents, they asked both of them, Kamala Harris and Mike Pence. They said, do you have a contingency plan in place if either one of these presidents falls ill or dies? Because they old. Neither one of them answered the question. Neither one of them. They all danced around the shit they did. Like, and the person that, you know, the person that's run the mediator, she's sitting there and just letting them talk. I'd have wrapped their ass. I'd have said, no. Hold on. Let's run this back. Yeah. I asked you, do you have a contingency plan if this old motherfucker dies? Yeah. I didn't ask you about fucking your college years and your accolades and what you did. I don't give a shit. I asked you a question. I want to answer. But that, if you watch The Campaign, that is American politics in a nutshell. And the only difference is Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis are doing it comedically, whereas these motherfuckers do it for a living, and all they do is stand up there and lie to you. The biggest fucking thing in the world is for the people, by the people. That's a horrid crock of shit. Always has. John, you can attest to that. I know you.
I
feel
can.
Like that's the truth of it.
I can.
You know, that shit is hilarious, though. That's just how it works. But the campaign is it's the truth of what you see. That's how politicians are. They give you the old DC dip and twirl. You know, he had his pug. Pugs were born with short snouts to take down lions. Google it. It's what to Google. The fuck? A pug and a lion? Really, guys? Come on, man. Like, the shit is fucking hilarious. Love that shit. Pugs were born with short snouts to take down lions. Google it. It's worth the Google. What the fuck?
My last one on films, I'll say, because I feel like we've been talking about it, but was talking about goated athletes earlier. And the reason Michael Jordan will always be the GOAT to me is Space Jam.
Okay.
Space Jam, good.
I had that film on VHS, and I don't think it ever left my TV player because that starting bit, especially, you know, where he's shooting the hoops with and his dad comes out. I knew I could never play basketball. I got a shit throw. I couldn't throw, you know, 5 feet away. But watching that, I was like, that made basketball look like cool to me. And you know, we didn't really have it over here, so I was like, is that what basketball's like? And
hey, it helped make the dream attainable. Sometimes movies do that.
But yeah, and for me, that's why that was like Michael Jordan was my first glimpse of basketball, and especially after watching that Jordan the Chicago Bulls documentary on Netflix, it was just like, that guy's a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, Space Jam will have you believing you could dunk till you break your face off the pole.
It would never make me believe I could dunk it. Going back earlier, athletes putting pads on and running a 4.5, it would probably take me 45 fucking minutes to run 40 yards. 3 yards this way, 3 yards that way. I love playing football when I played middle linebacker or defensive end because I didn't have to do a lot. Someone was in front of me and I fucking wiped it out. But if the ball's over my head, fuck that. I'm not running after that shit. They can just carry on.
Nick runs a 4.40, 4 minutes and 4 seconds.
At least. But if there's a beer at the end of if there's a beer at the end of the 40, I might make it under 4 minutes, but it would be a push.
Nick, you reckon you could run it quicker than Rich Eisen?
No. No.
I don't know, man. Rich,
I reckon you could take him on, Nick. Take him on.
Right.
Now,
this is my famous story, which I believe I have told on this show, but probably way, 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 way back in the beginning before you guys joined us. I hated athletics at school, hated track and field. I really, you know, if we did not a marathon, I can't remember what we called it, a long distance running, I'd go out to school, I'd run, and with about 500 yards, I'd stopped and I was having a cigarette. I wasn't interested. I got put in the school, English schools. We had things called, I don't know what we called them, like you were in a group of people, and every sports day, you had to put these people forward to be certain things. So shot put, javelin, this, that, and the other. I got put in the 100. I got put in the 100 meters. Fuck knows. Someone must have been ill or something. And I said, I'm not doing it. You can't force me. And it was like, you're doing it. That's it. You know, detention, the cane, blah, blah, whatever, corporal punishment if you don't do it. So I balked and so the day comes along, sports day, families, friends, everyone's there. 100 meters, there's me, pretend, you know, yeah, I'll do it. I did forward rolls for 100 meters and took a minute and 35 seconds as a protest because I didn't want to do it. I was going to be last anyway, so I thought, fuck it. So all I did was forward rolls, and I stopped halfway through, sat up like that, giving it the gangster pose, and they said, you've got to finish. So I went even slower. And everyone was cheering me at the end, and I did actually get the cane on my arse, and it hurt, but it was worth it because that was my protest. Playing rugby, playing soccer, basketball, I was fine with all of those, but you ain't going to make me run nowhere because I don't run now. I don't run for a bus. So I certainly wasn't going to do it back in the day.
What did you play in soccer then? What did you play in soccer?
Goalkeeper.
Goalie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
He was the corner flag.
He was the corner.
You got shift left or right.
As I share, going back to Friends very quickly, I was known as Big Fat Goalie, like Monica was when she played ice hockey or lacrosse or whatever it was. I just stood there and put my arm up, saved it. I might occasionally dive, depending on how wet the ground was, but I just didn't give a shit. I was never going to be a sportsman. Never, it just didn't interest. Sport never interested me. I got to an age where I liked all sports, and when I kind of got to 13 and I was quite big, I was more interested in girls and smoking and shit like that. I certainly wasn't interested in running around no fucking track. That had nothing. That held nothing for me. It's like my brother, bless him, he's quite academic. And I always say this to him when we reminisce about the old days and what I used to get up to. He said to me, have you read this book? I said, no, I was out getting drunk and getting women while you were fucking about reading. And that, to me, was far better than having my note. I'd rather have been out messing about, doing shit than worrying about academic stuff. It just wasn't for me. Right, before we finish up, hardest position to play in the NFL. I think, to me, my personal opinion is centre. If you're a good centre, you are in high demand because you have to call out the protections, you have to call what the defense is doing, and you have to have your shit down. And you go firing off the ball and carrying on and trying to get into the second level if it's a run play, or you're trying to stop 2 or 3 people coming through and hold your assignments and your gaps. So to me, I think centre is probably one of the hardest things to learn. It's not a glory position like a running back or a QB or stuff like that. And last year, the Niners, without Richburg, struggled. I don't think we've been as good at centre, and I think John and Deion will return to this, as when we had Jonathan Goodwin. When he came in back in the day, we were a far better team with a very good centre. Carl, what do you think? What do you think's your hardest position?
Toughest position to play in the NFL is at corner. It's cornerback. They are some of the smallest men on the field, but they are also going to be the most athletic. Sometimes you expect them to tackle different, bigger running backs. They may even have to play bump and run on some bigger tight ends. And they are such a disadvantage as well. When you go, especially in man coverage, when you're one-on-one with a wide receiver, the receiver knows what route he is going to do. The corner's got fucking no clue. So it's just instinct into how to follow him and make sure you cover him in the right way. I think cornerback is the most difficult position to play in the NFL.
Interesting points. Chewy, what is your hardest position, do you think?
This is a tough question. You asked me, 10 years ago, I'd say any lineman, either side of the ball, because it was more of a physical sport. But now I'm more inclined to agree with Carl in saying cornerbacks, especially in this era of like rolling hybrid players. where, especially in the Colts scheme, our cornerbacks can play anything from middle linebacker to strong safety to run stopping. It's, and you so much as breathe on a wide receiver nowadays, and it's a flag. And it's just a harder league for them to play in because they are not allowed to play. They get called on everything. And like Carl said, they've got to try and guess. You look at some of the great route runners. For me, T.Y. Hilton is fantastic at route running. I wouldn't like to try and defend against that guy. I'd rather just take a snap on the bench. So, yeah, for me, cornerback.
Interesting. John V, what do you think?
Corners, I feel like the play is already developed at this point, Carl. I feel like it's more difficult to play off the offensive line. You've got, I'd say, left tackle, right tackle, center. I'm there. I believe that pocket presence, that awareness that you need to be able to move. I feel like at the cornerback position, you've got speed, and you've got a certain athleticism to play the position. So like the play's developed, and you're back here trying to anticipate when to defend the ball, take it, pick it, whatever you're going to do with it. I feel like the more complicated part of the game is at the line of scrimmage. That would probably be in my opinion, the most difficult, because corners are. I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen, but they you got to be fast. You have to have good hands to play corner. You got to be aware. I feel like the offensive line, man, so much happens, and you got to try not to hold. You got to try to know that your guy is here. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot going on the offensive line. I feel like that's probably the most difficult.
Here's the thing, though, regarding of that. If you say center or left tackle and he blocks who he's meant to, but the quarterback gets sacked from like the right-hand side, there's not a lot that the center can do. He's done his part. It's down to whoever else is around to block him.
Yeah,
but with the corner, if the receiver beats the corner, he's going to the house. The mentality side of thing is if that corner gets beat, when you get back onto the field, you've got to get that vision of you being burnt. You got to get that vision out the back of your head, and you got to concentrate on the next down.
Yeah, but you're hoping that you're getting pressure on the quarterback. You're hoping that your DEs are getting pressure to make that throw more complex. I feel like offensively, you are relying on each man on that line to hold the line. You're hoping to contain that pocket and to make it and to help that play develop. If the DEs, if the middle linebacker, if you're playing even safeties now being utilized as box presence, they're playing all over. I don't want to say no. Take safety out. I'm going to stick with offensive linemen. I feel like the blind side of the quarterback is one of the most complex, because you've got to know that if you fuck up this particular play and the sacks, you can be the reason. Look at Cincinnati, for example. Look at Joe Burrow. He just got his fucking legs chopped off. You know what I mean? Like his leg, he was brutally injured because there was not a sophisticated goddamn offensive line. I feel like you are so responsible for the health of the number one player on the field that if you can't play that position, then the fucking game sucks. Your gameplay is going to be affected by the fact that your quarterback is not protected. He can't run around for 497 fucking yards and expect to win a fucking game. I feel like offensive linemen have the blunt of the game on their shoulders, because if they don't play well, then the quarterback doesn't play well.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Carl?
We've all got our. He looks like he's frozen in time.
Yeah, he's frozen.
I feel like he's about to come through my fucking USB port and beat me up.
And look,
he's
he's about to throw up because you're taking that.
Yeah, exactly. You've absolutely just missed his shit, man. And he's frozen in
Death eyes.
time.
He looks pretty pissed though.
Mind
He
you,
looks pretty-
That's
To be fair,
right there.
another British saying we have over here. To be fair to Carl, I don't think he could knock the skin off a rice pudding. He'll come back in. Bless him.
Oh, shit.
Deion, talk to me. What do you think is the hardest position?
I have to agree with Harrison and Carl, DB. It's just basically because in today's times, just with the way that the game is played, Harrison was right. I think it was either Harrison or Carl. Like, you sneeze on a wide receiver, you cough on him, you look at him wrong, and they're calling the flag.
Especially
You remember
when you
when
play Tom Brady.
Yeah, that is. You remember when we had Deshaun Golston and Dante Whitner or Dante Hittner?
Yep.
The way those two young men played safety, they wouldn't last 5 minutes in today's NFL. There'd be a flag call for every goddamn hit they'd had because you
That
can't.
was all over. That was all over Twitter. That I think it was Coach Jack that put that on, and I agree. I mean, they were
ferocious.
mad.
Even Patrick
Laying
Willis,
the
the
wood.
way he played, like, it's, to me, defensive back is really hard to be able to play because you're going up against the game's elite and you're going up against unknowns, and they're asking you to play against a dude who's 6'6", weighs 235 pounds or possibly 240, maybe even 260. This guy's damn near basically an offensive lineman, and he's running around, and you got to tackle this big motherfucker. Gronk is a lot. That's a whole lot of human being to tackle. George Kittle is a whole lot of human being to tackle. You don't think so? Watch the New Orleans game from a couple years ago, and you'll see how he's a whole lot of human being to tackle. It took 3 people and a motherfucker doing damn near a WWE move to bring him down. So
and they still struggled.
And they struggled. They struggled hard, but you're asked to guard the game's elite, and then at the same time, what happens if you have a shitty pass rush? You've got to guard this person for 5 to 10 seconds of your life, and you're out there trying to figure out what you're doing. And for as much shit as we give Kendrick Bourne, you don't want to guard KB for 5 to 10 seconds. You know why? Because if he's in the red zone, he's money, and you know what's going to happen. Like, there's just it's a very hard position to play, and most of the time you're outmatched in size almost all the time. DBs are usually anywhere from, I want to say, probably 5'9", 5'10" to maybe 6 feet. It's rare that you catch a defensive back that's over 6 feet tall that plays the position, because typically you're on the other side of the ball. But for me, it's always going to be defensive back.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Scott? I know obviously in the Super Bowl, the hardest position to play was Mahomes. But overall, I can't help it. Sorry, Scott.
Well, yeah, without left and right tackle, I didn't expect him to do much. Sorry, I have to agree. You had no left, you had no right tackle. I didn't expect him to be spectacular. If you're missing your left and if we miss Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey, I guarantee you Jimmy G ain't out there doing much, because Justin School ain't about to help nobody.
Then how good is your secondary if your offense struggles, bro? That means that you're just, it's 3 and out. I mean, DB is not easy by any means. Don't take me wrong. Like, I don't believe that position is easy, but I believe that the game forms itself from the offensive stand. I mean, how do you expect to win if you can't put up points? You can get a DB, give it back to you every time, but if you can't do anything with it, look at Patrick Mahomes. We're going to sit here and call him the greatest quarterback since sliced bread and corduroy pants, but he couldn't develop. Shit couldn't develop because he couldn't get the ball off. They were just too much.
It's always going to be in the trenches, a lot of it, probably 80%. I do agree that DBs.
Let's take
it is a hard position.
What about diet? About diet. Look at. Have you guys seen what? What is his name now? Played for the Browns forever. Offensive line.
Joe Thomas.
Joe
Yeah, he
Thomas.
looks
Look what he
amazing.
looks like today. Look what he looks like today. Do you know how hard it is to make yourself weigh 300 fucking pounds?
Yeah,
You
you
know
gotta
how hard
eat
it is
I know
when you can't-
exactly what it's like. Trust me, it's fucking awesome.
I feel like
Awesome
there's
it is.
so much more to it, you guys. I mean, a DB is going to come in at roughly 200 pounds, 6'2", 6'3". You'd like him to be anyway. But you got to be a fucking 6'6", 6'7" lineman. You got to weigh 300 pounds. You got to put that body weight. You got to put that weight on that body, on that frame. All that does to the heart and the cardiac fucking harassment that you put yourself through. I mean, I think there's more to it than just X's and O's. I think that offensively, just got to be a fucking gladiator.
I'm
Yeah,
doing my
sorry,
training
Scott.
right now, by the way. Sorry.
So
I'm keeping my body mass up as we speak.
sorry to
Hey, Mr.
cut.
Rogers.
I
Yeah,
lost my cut
Scott.
out
Yeah,
for 5
what's
minutes.
going on, Scott? What you
Yeah,
got?
I think defensive backs probably tough. I don't know. Being an offensive lineman, you just got to be a fat fuck and get in the way. I mean,
That's why I played defensive line at the end before I quit. That's what they said to me. Be a fat fucker and get in the way. And I said, I can do that. It's not a problem. Just don't make me run, for fuck's sake.
I just,
You want to be your own lineman? Just be a beefcake. It's as simple.
yeah, no, I'm obviously kidding there a little bit. It's difficult play. I think the toughest position is quarterback. I mean, it's the most important. You know, other than the center, you're touching the ball on every play. The mental part of it, you got to be able to relay the play to the guys. You got to lead the huddle. You got to get in there. You got to know where everybody's got to be lined up on every play. You got to know where the running back is. You got to know where the tight ends are supposed to line up. You got to know which wide receivers got to be on which side, how far out they got to be. You got to be able to then read the defense. Then you got to be able to audible or make adjustments. You have to take the snap. You have to be able to hand the ball off cleanly. The throws those guys have to make, I mean, just the accuracy it takes to throw the ball, the guts it takes to stand in that pocket when you got those 300-pound monsters trying to rip your head off. When shit breaks down, you got to be able to get around. You know, it's on you when something in the play breaks down. It's designed to go one spot. That isn't there. Then you've got to make a second read. And you've got, 3 seconds, they say? You know, you got to have that internal clock in your head going all the time, knowing that the pass rush is only going to be able to hold up for count to 2 or 3 seconds and be able to do all that, and the leadership aspect of it, and the mental aspect of it, and just the ability to throw a ball 40 yards to a covered receiver and drop it in where only he can get to he can be the only one to catch it. I guess I think it's got to be quarterback for me, just because there's so much that goes into it. But again, like I'm saying, defensive back, I would say is probably a close second, just because, like you said, the rules are slanted against you and the receivers. I mean, get your ass out there and try and cover DK Metcalf's big ass. You know,
Fuck that.
You know
Fuck
what
all
I'm
of that.
saying? Like,
No,
that's
thank
gotta be
you.
a nightmare. But
Now
even
you see,
then-
that's my
But even then, they're
counter
only-
argument for me doing roly polies for a 100-yard dash. You don't want to do that shit. And he is physical. He is a unit.
But even at
Have
that,
you ever seen that man? The man, it looked like somebody chiseled him.
Reminds me of myself, to be honest.
It's like made him out of clay and a goddamn just hammer.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Hell no, I don't want nothing to do with that. There's things in life that you do. And there's problems that you want and problems you do. I don't want no problems with DK Metcalf.
no.
If I'm a defensive
No.
back, that's a whole lot of human being.
But even if you got to cover
He's
DK
tall, he's tall, he's fit, he's young, he's at the peak of physical performance.
he's fast.
Fuck all of that. I don't care who you are.
He
You
is fast,
truthfully
too,
can't
man.
tell me. Yeah, and he's at 22 miles an hour. He chased him down from the
Right.
fucking end zone. 22 miles an hour and held
But even
that speed.
But even if
For
you got
continuous, that's fucking ridiculous.
But even
No,
if you got to
I don't
guard
want nothing to
DK
do with it.
Metcalf, you only got to do it because they run the ball 30 or 40% of the plays. So those plays, you're just standing there. Quarterback involved on every play, has to know what's going on, has to avoid the rush, has to be able to make all the throws, has to be the leader, has to read the defense. Yeah, I just quarterback is the toughest position to play in any sport, really.
I think how I would look at it is if I'm playing each of these positions, what we're talking about, because they are all equally hard, you know, mentally quarterback's hard, physically lineman's hard, and skill-wise DB's hard. I could get a 5-yard pass off to Jack Doyle. I just, you know, out the amount of attempts, I could get one off eventually. I could maybe hold a lineman off just by enough seconds by being a pure distraction that my QB could get a ball off. I couldn't guard a single receiver for shit. And you're talking about the worst receivers. I could, to snap the ball, the receiver's gone and I'm still on the line of scrimmage like, where's he gone? And that's personally how I look at it. I could probably do one successful snap at quarterback and lineman, but not at DB. And that's how I would look at it.
All I can say to you, Chewy, is I'd have loved to have met you behind the line. You at quarterback, me off the edge.
Yeah. Nick, I'm not saying I would have been any good, but I feel like I could get one pass off.
Yeah, he's saying he has that it's the chances of him making that one play are easier rather than defensive back strictly based on what's going on. And yes, you're right. If you have a guy, because to be honest with you, defensive offensive lineman, it is literally two things. It's strength and skills. That's literally all it is. It is a test. Hey, how you doing to the wife? I see her back there. Yeah, but that's all it is. It's a test of strength and skills. You're literally trying to just out bully the man in front of you. That's all it really is. That's how that works.
The line play, though, I think you'll agree, is different to what it used to be like. Like you said earlier about being fat and just getting in the way. There is actually quite a lot of skill now involved in both offense and defensive line, whereas before it was just kick the shit out of each other. Let's hope for the best. If you get through, you get through. If you can block the line, and et cetera, et cetera. So that has become a skill position, and you don't want to be a turnstile if you're an offensive lineman. Unfortunately, Mike McGlinchey seems to be a bit of a turnstile at the moment. Hopefully, he'll work that shit out. But I still think that it is quite hard to be on either side of the line because you win and lose by those plays. And as you say, if you've got a good pass rush, you aren't going to, like with what Scott said about, obviously he was talking about Pat Mahomes, you need to get those balls out quick, like Aaron Rodgers does, like sometimes Mahomes does when he's not running for his life. Those decisions you make, it is difficult to call all the this, that, and the other. But if you've got, and a lot of teams you saw, if you've got a pass rush, doesn't matter who's the QB or who the DBs are, you can't hold up that protection on either the QB or running the routes, etc. It is a fine line, definitely 100% between all the positions, and it's really weird when you look at it again now and you think actually all positions are really quite hard to play when you break it down individually. I mean, I was never an offensive guy. I did wide receiver when I first started for a couple of games, and I saw everyone getting smacking everyone, and I thought, I don't want to be trying to catch a ball. I want to kick the shit out of people. So I moved to the defense and played. The trouble was, you see, I could have played receiver and done like short stuff and whatever, but I saw Dick Butkus, and he made me. and Ray Nitschke and old school players. Sorry, Kai, you're going to have to go and watch some film, and all you young pups to see what Ray Nitschke did. And he was in the meme. He was in the Meme Machine, the original one. And
all you need to do, you look that man up. Ooh, Ray Nitschke was a bad man, boy. And he played. You got to remember, like these dudes that Nick are talking about. This was when football was football.
Right.
You get your fucking head taken off on that field, and no one cared. You know,
you get your ass out there on the next play.
Yeah. Like this, and like you got to think about it. Like, what was it? Basketball? Like you got to think about it. Like, remember basketball in the '80s? Remember the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons? They'll whoop your ass on the court. Literally, fuck you up. Kevin McHale was a monster.
The Jordan formula. No, that was that. Court. What team was that? What year was that?
That was in the last time.
Dennis Rodman was on that team.
Yeah, that was the Pistons, man.
Yeah,
Detroit. I know because I'm a Bulls fan. 80s? They used to kick our ass every year. Yeah, man. I believe you, me, man. Like there were times when sports were played, and like you look at some players and you like these dudes wouldn't last 5 minutes in the league today because they would wind up being flagged, fined, and penalty. Did you actually see now that they are literally going to start penalizing you if you flop? They have now put that in. They said, hey, if we catch you on tape and you just falling for no goddamn reason, yeah, we gonna get you. But yeah,
I can understand certain things where they want to protect players and things like that, whatever sport it is, right?
Yeah.
But you watch a lot of the old stuff and you think, fucking hell, they'd never get away. But that was football. That was it. Ronnie Lott killing people. Patrick Willis maiming motherfuckers. You could name, there's so many players that you could
Derek
name.
Thomas.
You beat me to it, Mr. Rogers. Derek Thomas.
Get in there.
You can name so many players that if they were playing in the modern game, wouldn't last. They'd be ejected every fucking game. And it's spoiling it. Some of these things like roughing the passer that you see, or
there'll be the most ticky-tack fouls you've ever seen in your life.
They are not, not touching them in the Super Bowl. And I know Cole says he did make contact and he tripped over. That receiver who fell over his own feet and got the penalty. The fuck out with that bullshit.
It's like if you watch a replay, how are you gonna see that this man tripped over his own feet and you called him flag? It's hilarious, man. The roughing the passer penalties. I've even seen some on Jimmy G where I'm like, bro, that wasn't roughing the passer. And you'll ask these guys after the game, like, was that roughing? And they'll tell you, no. Like, we didn't, bro. Like, what the hell? So you get shoved. Oh, boo fucking who? You're playing football.
One pinky to the face mask is roughing the passer.
Oh my gosh! If I'm a defensive back and they sent me on a blitz and I run past Patrick Mahomes, but I shove him in the shoulder, roughing the passer. What? Really? I gave him a quick shove. He's all right. He didn't die.
That's the money.
That's
the money.
It's sanitized.
It's $200 million contract in the quarterback.
You're right. You are right.
It's sanitizing the game. And it's taking away basically what football should be, and that is it's like soccer now. You've only got to look at someone in the penalty area and literally just go like that, and they dive, and it's a penalty, and it's minimal contact, and that's the same in the NFL. It's taking away what this sport is about. It's physical, it's hard, and you want to see those big plays. Whether it's, a safety coming in and wiping out the receiver as he catches the ball, or, a linebacker blitzing through the middle. He's got an open thing to the quarterback. You don't want to, you'll probably do more damage if you actually stop and let up as opposed to actually taking that hit. You've only got to look. Who was the Niners player that got called on Drew Brees? I can't think who it was.
That was Ahmad Brooks. That was
No,
on
no,
my
no,
Brooks.
sorry,
Talking about when he tackled. Yeah, that was on my Brooks.
No, sorry. This season just gone where he went out with punctured lung and this, that, and the
Oh, that
other.
was Contavious Street. Contavious Street.
That was a legal hit.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that hit.
And he got flat. No.
Drew Brees just old and fragile. Like, there's nothing we can do about him being old. Like, it is what it is. And they call Contavious Street Baby Hulk. He's a huge individual. There's a whole lot of man to be, letting somebody like that fall on you. I've seen players. I think I remember I saw DeForest Buckner got flagged one time, and he literally rolled. Like, when he sacked the dude, he rolled purposely with his body to make sure that he didn't fully land on him and still got the fucking pass. Still got the flag.
It's a joke.
Terry Hyder did it last year where he literally did a damn somersault over the quarterback, barely touched him, and they gave it to him. It's like, bro, I can injure myself even worse by avoiding this contact.
Exactly.
Sometimes if you pull up in the wrong way, you're gonna pull a hamstring. You're gonna pull a muscle somewhere. It's not like it. They take away from it, man.
I'd love to see some of the old school players trying to play football now because they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't even waste their time. They'd look and go, man, it's a game.
They go and do another career. Right, guys, we are going to get up out of here. It's been great conversation as ever. I love you guys. You know that. Think of some other subjects you want to talk about next week. DM me. We'll throw it around the group, see what we can come up with. So this has been the Shank Club NFL. We've talked movies. You've got to watch the original Mean Machine, you young pups. You've got to watch it because Burt Reynolds is the boss. Everyone out there, stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, do all the usual stuff. COVID's still around, still killing people. Let's keep safe, everybody. Enjoy the snow, John V. Take the dog out, let him go and walk in the snow, do some snow angels and shit.
I'll give you a snow angel, goddammit.
I want to see a proper snow angel, John. Just
I'm gonna bring you a fucking icicle too, Nick. Bend over, I'll show you, goddammit. Give you this snow is fucking death out here, dog.
Whoa.
I'll get the Vaseline. John, on that note, I'll get the Vaseline ready. I'm ready, brother.
Outside of Carl, looked like he was going to smack the shit out of John earlier.
Carl, you look so pissed in that fucking freeze frame, brother. I was covering up my USB port. I thought you were going to fucking teleport through that bitch and smack me. I got to cover this up. He's going to come through here, man. He looks death right now. Oh, my God.
That was the best Marceau fucking pose ever when he froze. I wish I could have screenshotted it and we could have used it as his avatar on Twitter. But anyway, guys, it's been great. Harrison, keep out on that Millennium Falcon looking after old Han Solo. Don't let the Imperial Rebels fucking get anywhere near you. Carl, it's been great. Deion, Scott, John, Shank Club NFL, we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And we will see you again, same back time, same back channel. And that's the original 60s Batman, if anyone remembers back that far. I do. Shank Club NFL. We will see you soon. Peace out, everybody.
Later.